is the site. And tonight, Wei-Yin Chen will go after his 17th victory. For the Orioles, a chance to wrap up home field advantage in the first round. It could happen tonight. Orioles, Yankees, 1 of 4 starts now. It's the Orioles on Massett, and here we are in the final week of this regular season. Yankee Stadium, the Orioles on the road. This is a 4-game set here in New York. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and welcome to the Orioles. The chase continues for that #1 spot in the American League. We've talked so much this season about the core players of the Orioles, the Jones, the Markakis, the Hardys, and also about those who were not expected to have the kind of seasons that they had that made all this possible. Who'd have thought? Take a look at some of the names that we've talked about this year and what they have done. When it comes to Nelson Cruz, the most valuable Oriole, 2014 numbers, 39 homers, 106 RBIs. His previous high, 33 home runs and 90 RBIs. For Steve Pearce, who'd have thought this? Previous high was 4 home runs in a season. He's got 26 RBIs. Previous high up to 48. And Zach Britton came into the season supposed to be a starter. All of a sudden, not having had a save in his career, he picks him up this year. 35 saves and a great 177 opponent batting average. Those are 3 of the names, Jim Palmer, who've made a big difference.
Yeah, and you know, they come into tonight's game with 93 wins. And, Gary, as you know, that's how you move from 85 wins. Yeah, you've lost Chris Davis now early on with an oblique. Pearce gets to play, goes down, not only hits really well down in Tampa, but the other thing he does, he shows us he can play first base. So now you get the suspension of Chris Davis, and all of a sudden, as long as the wrist is good, you got somebody who can play first base and play it well. Zach Britton, very simple. Struggled, looking for somebody to give him maybe a direction. That's Dave Wallace, Tom Cheedy. What do you do best? I throw the sinker. He's become one of the better guys in baseball. So, you know, I mean, it's just a matter, do you get the opportunities, and when you get them, do you take advantage of them? And Nelly Cruz, you know, he had 27 home runs and 413 at-bats, so he's looking to get a longer-term contract. He's had a triple year, and the other thing is he stayed healthy. That's huge.
A pretty good chance for a bigger contract. You know, we've had a lot of talk going on about the roster for the Orioles. When you break it down, and we thought we would here tonight, a chance to look at it, who's going to be on the roster when it comes to the first postseason series? Well, there are some that are just automatic. Hundley, Joseph are going to be there. Pierce, Scope, Hardy, Flaherty, Jones, Cruz, Markakis, De Aza, Young. Now, Lowe is a bubble guy in that group, but everybody else except for Lowe in that setting is going to be on it. And not much question there, Jim.
No, and, you know, the thing about David Lowe, you know, Pierce got a chance to play so much because David Lowe, they thought he'd hit somewhere around 285. All of a sudden, he's one of their better hitters in September. So there's going to be a little bit of a tough decision there. And, you know, of course, Diaz is a plus defender, but also the thing, David Lowe, he can run the bases, and he can go get him in the outfield.
All right, let's take a look at the pitching situation for the Orioles. Buck Showalter's decided he's going to go probably with 11 pitchers, not 12. Tillman, Chen, Gonzalez, Norris, Gosman, Hunter, Brock, Miller, O'Day, Mattis, and Britton are pretty much assured that they're going to be on it, and they will be the group.
Yeah, and the first division series is 3 out of 5, so you don't need T.J. McFarland. Not that he hasn't had a good year. He's 4-2. He's got some big outs for him, but maybe he'd be a guy you would use if you get through the division in the championship series. So that's pretty cut and dry there as far as those guys.
Now, Jim, what you're left with are a couple of spots and maybe 4 names to fill them. You've got Johnson, Kelly Johnson, who can play at third, who's been there. Paredes, who's got the good bat, but glove in question. Barry, who brings that distinct speed to the game. And McFarland, who's been the long left-handed reliever. In fact, just the long reliever, period. Only 2 spots. Those are 4 players who may get to fill them.
Yeah, Kelly Johnson's going to be on the roster as far as I'm concerned because you're still looking for somebody that, you know, maybe can hit lefties and can play third base, played well. And the other thing is, I think David Lowe moves down into that bracket. McFarland probably won't do it. Again, nothing personal. They got enough pitching, but you're looking for David Lowe, who's hot, he can pretty much do what Quentin Berry. I mean, Berry's a stolen base guy, as good as you can be, 25 out of 25. I just don't know if they'll carry him, but you never know. And the one great thing about if you're an Oriole fan, or even if you're an Oriole player, Buck Showalter knows exactly what he's going to do. And I think a lot of it will have to do with who they end up playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Those final decisions will come based on who the opposition is going to be, and the Orioles obviously do not know that yet. When we come back, the first of 4 against the Yankees, a beautiful fall evening here in New York for game number 1. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. And by Chapin Davis, providing investments that can produce income from your retirement plan. Call to learn more at 800-222-3246 or at chapindavis.com. Beautiful fall day and evening here in New York. Our train game time temperature is going to be at 66. Have been gusty winds today, but they've quieted down a bit here tonight. Visit trainsearch.com to find your local train comfort specialist dealer. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Here's the starting lineup for the Orioles, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. Markakis, Diaz, and Jones, Cruz, Hardy, and Walker, Flaherty, Joseph, and Scope. Adam Jones, a big season as the Orioles had against the American League East.
And Michael Pineda. So the Yankees certainly happy to have him back. He came in the trade from Seattle, all kinds of shoulder problems, even this year. So a lot of fastballs, 93 to 95. Loves the slider, occasional changeup. Look at that low ERA. And the other thing, look at the strikeouts and then look on the base on balls. Only 6 of them. So you start looking, okay, they don't score him a lot of runs, well under 3 runs a game. Doesn't give up a lot of home runs. And the Orioles, in 3 starts, have never done very well against him. 3 runs, 1 run, and 1 run. All no decisions.
25-year-old delivers, and we are underway as Nick Markakis is back in the lineup for the Orioles. Took BP, and Buck Showalter was there watching him along with Jim Presley. And he said after batting practice, I feel fine, I'm ready to go. And so here he is with that sore shoulder, having felt better enough tonight to get into the lineup. The Orioles are happy to have their right fielder back.
Yeah, he turned into the fastball, and which is the proper way. You keep your wrist, your hands out of the way, but it hit him right on the scapula, right behind the right shoulder.
Pretty deep bruise, and it really did hurt. So he sat out. Pitch will be taken outside, Pineda, and the count will go to a ball and 2 strikes. 4-game series against the Yankees. They've already won. The Orioles have the season series guaranteed. They're 11-4 against the New York Yankees this year. Pineda's delivery will be put up in the air towards third. Headley is there, and Markakis is retired.
Yeah, let's look at the Yankees defense here at Yankee Stadium. Young had got some big hits against the Orioles. In Baltimore, Gardner back in the lineup, had some ab problems. Suzuki, because of Prado's appendectomy, playing right field at 285. Headley got hit in the chin by McGee. He's back. Jeter, well, I don't have to say anything about that. Stephen Drew, and then Cervelli playing first base, and then Brian McCann really hot with the bat. 7 home runs in the month of September.
Here is De Aza getting the start in left field tonight. 1 for 3 against Pineda. That one will be fouled off. Jim mentioned that Pineda started against the Orioles in 3 games. He has no record, non-decision in all of them. 2 back in 2011 and 1 this year, in which he went 5 innings, gave up a run and 2 hits. Overall, Pineda against the Orioles, 5 runs, 15 hits in 18 innings. Bunted down to third, and that will be fouled. Trying to bunt for the base hit, De Aza. He'll come back with a count of 2 strikes.
Yeah, Headley's still playing in at third, and now he'll move back with 2 strikes. But the way he can bunt, even if you're playing even with the bag, you can see him well behind the third base bag. I don't know if he could have thrown him out, but he didn't get it down, so kind of a moot point.
Backs him up with a 2-strike count. Outfield fairly shallow in left and center. Ichiro regular and right. And the pitch, and that will be inside. Did he go new? Adam Hamari down at third base. Home plate umpire tonight is a veteran, Brian Onora. Onora in his career has tended to be a pitcher's umpire. If you get it around the plate, you probably got a chance to get a call with Brian working there. If it's close, pitchers generally have the advantage on the strike call. 1-2 delivery on the way, and that is knocked down. Drew got him. Oh, what a play. They are robbed of a base hit.
Full out, and I guess even though he's playing second base, somebody's going to have to play shortstop for the Yankees, and here's your audition. Shortstop playing second base, and what a play.
Can't do it much better than that. Drew takes one away from De Aza, and there are 2 down. That'll bring up Adam Jones. Adam has had a big season against the Yankees, hitting .322 against New York, with 3 home runs against the Yankees this year, and overall continuing with yet another steady season at the plate. This 29-year-old Orioles center fielder. Pineda's delivery to him, breaking ball, is going to catch the inside corner. Adam has gone 3 for 8 against the Yankee starter.
Yeah, with an outside chance, he's going to have to do it against some pretty good pitching, especially here in New York, to get to 100 RBIs for the 3rd straight year.
That's going to be inside to him. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, the last time he started a game, he hit a couple of home runs. He came in and pinch hit yesterday.
Adam, one of those, of course, getting time off here as the postseason gets closer to being just a week away. Towering fly ball. Boy, did he put that up in the air. The entire Yankee team could get under it before it comes down, but it'll be Gardner who'll put it away. So with a little help from the defense, Pineda gets a 1-2-3 inning. Wei-Yin Chen after number 17 to the mound. New York, you can tell by the clothing worn. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Yankees. It'll be Gardner, Jeter, and McCann, Young, Headley, and Cervelli, Drew, Ichiro, and Pirela making his major league debut as the DH. Derek Jeter against the Orioles. There are the lifetime numbers with 4 games to go.
And Wei Chen trying to win for the 17th time on the year. A lot of fastballs. 2 seamers and mostly 4 seamers. Learned to pitch away a little bit better. Curveball, most people tell you, well, a lot better than it was. A little bit more depth to it. Occasional slider and then the changeup. So 30th start of the year. First start since early in April when he was on the mound here at Yankee Stadium. They won 14-5 in that game. So a lot of home runs, 23 of them. You could see the right-handers hit them, most of them, and then a lot of run support, a little under 6 runs a game. But how did Buck Showalter describe him in his press count? A strike thrower. There was a lot of strikes.
Both pitchers tonight surrender very few walks. Chen is 5th in the American League in fewest walks per 9 innings, having given up only 32 in 173 innings worked. Gardner will lead it off. There are the numbers on the year. For Brett Gardner, he's gone 5 for 12 lifetime against Wei Chen. The Yankees are 23-20 against left-handed starters. Their average better against lefties, 258 as opposed to 240 against right-handers. And the pitch is taken for a strike. Gardner, Jeter, and McCann due up against the Orioles' 29-year-old left-hander. 0-1 delivery, showed bunt, that hit him. Oh, man. He's out of there as he tried to bunt. They're going to give the assist to the third baseman as signaled by Brian O'Nora, the
the ball hit him in the leg, didn't it?
He called him out. He just called him out and said the putout went to the third baseman. Now we'll see if they change it.
We'll take a look. No, that ball hit him right in the leg. Hit him in the back leg.
Did he go after it?
Oh, I don't know. But either way, no, there's no way. He's trying to get out of the way. Dodgeball. School cafeteria, rainy day.
Or they called it a foul ball now.
Well, he got hit right in the back leg.
Yep, foul ball. Third base umpire Amari looked down to him and gave no sign of any change in the call.
Now take a look here. I just don't. Maybe it did, but there's the bat. Well, I guess that bat was out there, so maybe the fact that he bunted and then hit him.
Foul ball.
Yeah.
So a foul ball, and he'll stand back in. 0-2 delivery, swing and a miss. He wants to bang the bat down on the ground and break it, but decides better of it, and Chen gets a strikeout.
Well, there you go. Good way to start it off.
Well, the next 4 days, this is what it's going to sound like when number 2 is on the field. Thursday's game, which will be his last game here, sold out. These first 3 games, though, are not. I mean, there's nowhere near a sellout crowd on hand for this ball game tonight, nor is it expected for tomorrow or the day game on Wednesday. Jeter's hot. Goes after the first pitch, drives it to right field. Markakis is there in the warning track. And Jeter's got a 5-game hit streak, is retired.
Take a look at the Orioles defense. Piazza, Jones, Markakis. That is the outfield for the Orioles. And then Flaherty playing third base. Hardy, Scope, Christian Walker called up from the minor league, AA, AAA all year long. And then Caleb Joseph, rookie catcher behind the plate.
So Steve Pearce is still out. Expected back now on either Wednesday or Thursday with the wrist problem that's bothering him. Not ready to go. They'd hoped he might be ready to go in this game or even tomorrow, but Buck Showalter said before the game tonight, nope, maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday. They're concerned about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they should be.
Yep.
I mean, he'll tell you that it's been bothering him a little bit, but it doesn't keep him from hitting. Got a quarter zone shot on Saturday. You'd like to give it 24, 48, 72 hours, and they have the luxury of doing that.
You can see the guard on that wrist that's bothering him. So he's healing. Pitch will be taken for a strike. McCann up. 2 down and nobody on.
Yeah, and if you're wondering where Mark Teixeira is, he's out with a wrist injury, and that's what short-circuited his season last year.
And his whole season this year, he's played with that problem. 1-1 delivery on the way by Chen, swinging a slow roller down to first base. Walker will play it himself to the bag, and that will do it. So Chen starts it out with a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the second here at Yankee Stadium. No score. Randallstown is won 500 for being selected, 500 more for every Orioles home run hit tonight. With all the home runs the Orioles have put out this season, lotteries awarded over $150,000 to its contestants. Play the Orioles scratch off today for a chance to win up to $60,000. Find out more at mdlottery.com/Orioles. Well, Kansas City lost that makeup game today. That's a big loss for them. They got a regular game tonight against Cleveland. They lost 4-3. So going into tonight's games, including the Kansas City game, KC now finds itself 2 games behind Detroit for the American League Central lead, and they are 2 games, now just a game ahead of Seattle for that second wild card spot. They had a game to be completed. It was a suspended game. They finished up, and the Indians won it today 4-3.
Oh, really? So they did. I think it was 4-2, and so they got a run. They just didn't get 2 of them.
It was the 10th inning, right, that they picked that up in.
Yeah, the only good news going into Cleveland, I don't think he's going to pitch. Corey Kluber. How about Corey? We know how good he is. Back-to-back 14 strikeout games, so I'm not sure if he's scheduled to pitch against the Royals.
Final week of the regular season. Here is Nelson Cruz, who comes in with a big hit streak. As Nelson has continued, just pounded out. It's been a consistent story for the Orioles all season long and not diminished here. 9-game hit streak, hitting .389 during the 9 games. Late and chops that one foul. He's gone 14 for 36, 5 RBIs. His longest hit streak this season was 12. And there are the numbers during the 9 that he brings into this series. It'll be Cruz, Hardy, and Walker due up against Pineda. Shift on in the infield, and he'll swing through that one on a good pitch down and away.
Well, that's the pitch he'll throw in any count, the slider. That's why when he gets ahead of you, hitters hit 233. When he gets behind, they hit 208 because of that slider. Any count, any time, and it's a real good one.
1-2 delivery on the way will be foul back. Pineda's problems have been third time through the lineup this year. First 2 times through, hitters have hit 204. Then the third time through the lineup, it jumps up to 275. That's somewhere within the 46 to 60 pitch range is where that happens to him. We'll see if that holds true here tonight or not.
Yeah, he had the lat problem. He missed all of 2012 after having labrum surgery. And then obviously tendonitis of the rotator cuff, and then had the lat problem this year. So after pitching against Boston, had the pine tar incident, didn't pitch in almost 4 months.
1-2 delivery on the way, and Cruz through the heater is a strikeout victim. One down in the second.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a backup slider or whatever, but and I think Nelson's trying to look at the center field camera to see, but ends up in the middle of the plate, but it has enough late movement. You've got to understand, Pineda is 6'7". When he gets over his front side, and he got to be doing that regularly to only walk 6 batters. Very, very deceptive.
12th start of the season. Pineda, he'll be in there with a strike to Hardy. Pineda's tough. Opponent batting average in his career is .214, and not much different this year. Opponents hitting only .221 against him. Both pitchers tonight are pronounced fly ball pitchers. 60% of opponents' balls off the bat have been hit in the air against both Pineda and Chen. 1 ball, 1 strike delivery to J.J. Hardy, and that one bounces out in front. Hardy's done well against Pineda. He's had 3 hits, 5 at bats, and 2 of the 3 hits home runs.
High sliders.
Yep.
It's a great pitch, but when you hang it, it speeds the bat up.
2 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way, and that one will catch the inside corner. As we said, Brian Honora, the home plate umpire, is going to give those close ones to the pitcher.
Yeah, not too many umpires call that pitch a strike. Can kind of drag it back into the zone.
2-2 delivery. Hardy will put it up in the air, center field. Gardner for the second out. Take a look at our Jeep Inside the Numbers. This season series wrapping up with these 4 games. The Orioles an extensive lead. Every number. Look at the batting average difference. 72 to 37 runs in this. Home runs 17 to 14, and then that ERA. The Orioles 2.51 as opposed to the Yankees almost at 5, almost double the Orioles ERA. That is a tremendous season against New York.
It really is.
Pineda's got 2 down, nobody on. Christian Walker, another start at first base. Was checking the numbers today against New York. The Orioles have scored more runs per game, have a higher batting average, a higher slugging percentage, a higher OPS against New York than any other Eastern Division team. Their best numbers this year in almost every category have been against the Yankees by a substantial amount. Their OPS against New York is .765.
Yeah, a lot of injuries to the Yankee starters early on, and
that'll go to third base. Sedley's got it, makes the throw over to Cervelli. A 1-2-3 inning. 6 in a row have been retired by Pineda. Bottom half of the second, no score. Enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Chen, after that big 17th win of the season, he can pick it up here against the Yankees. He is 1-0 against the Yankees this season, and a lifetime 2-3 record. Pitched against them way back in April on the 8th, and a win by 14-5 for the Orioles. He gave up 4 runs, 9 hits, 5 innings. That was his first win of the season. And now gets another shot at him here in the opener of this set.
Yeah, not only have they scored a lot of runs for him, it seems like when he pitches, and it's a good thing, they score him early. So very efficient, 16.1 pitches per inning. So this is the 30th start, and let's see, 1, 2, 5 times he's thrown over 100 pitches.
Certainly has been a dominant force on this great starting staff the Orioles have put together. Here is Chris Young, and Young will take the pitch for a strike. Young has faced Chen only a couple of times and is 0 for 2 against him. Young will take the pitch away. Young playing in his 80s. Check that, in his 17th game with the Yankees. Overall his 89th with the Yankees, hitting .277, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs in 16 ball games. And that pitch
right on the corner.
Right on the corner, 1-2.
Yeah, started the season across the city, so to speak, with the Mets.
1-2 count. Infield playing him to pull a bit. Pitched outside to him, and that one's going to miss. So the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Young, the loaded right-handed hitting lineup here against Chen, will take a big cut and miss it. He goes down, and Chen's got his second K.
So the average, actually, the righties down versus the lefties, but the home runs 20 out of the 23. So big swing, but better high ball hitter, and Wayne's able to stay out of that zone. Good low fastball.
Chen's had almost identical numbers home and road this year. He is 8-2 on the road with a 3.38 earned run average in road games. Pitch taken by Headley. That is in there for his strike. At home, his same record for Chen, 8-2 and a 3.76 ERA. Actually a little bit higher at home than on the road. That ball is going to go to center for a base hit. Adam Jones on the skip hop. Headley's on, and there's the first hit of the ball game. The American League Eastern Division champion Orioles heading for the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You can get your tickets to home game 1 of the ALDS and other games throughout the postseason should the Orioles advance. Don't miss out on your chance to lock in this experience. Goes to o's.com/postseason. Find out how, or 888-848-BIRD. Orioles have a chance tonight to clinch the home field advantage for the division series. It's all but guaranteed. They can do it with a win over the Yankees, or if the White Sox beat Detroit tonight, either of those happens, the Orioles know for sure that the division series will start in Baltimore, which it most certainly will. Just a matter of guaranteeing it. Here is Francisco Cervelli, and the pitch will miss down low for a ball. Cervelli, a couple of hits for it, bats off Chen.
Well, the Yankees they haven't been eliminated, have they? I mean, Joe Girardi saying we got to win every game, and they've won 4 out of 5. Had a tough road trip, losing 3 out of 4 in Baltimore, but they were very, very close games that could have gone either way.
1-0 the count. Chen would look at Headley over at first base, jammed him. That will be foul back. The Yankees find themselves 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. Now 4 games out with the Kansas City loss today. But more importantly, they've got to jump over Cleveland and Seattle to try and get to Oakland and Kansas City. So the chances aren't good. You got to run the table, and you got to hope for some help.
Well, I looked at the pitching matchups, and I'm saying, boy, it's a little bit like the postseason, because they're going to run out McCarthy. We saw how well he pitched. He went into the late innings, not giving up any runs against the Orioles in Baltimore. And then you got
speed pitch, good one.
Yeah, Shane Green, he's pitched 2 very good games, and then you got Kuroda, who's having a nice year for somebody closing in on 40.
Ubaldo Jimenez will make the start tomorrow for the Orioles against McCarthy. Bud Norris, Shane Green, and Kevin Gausman, Hiroki Kuroda in the Thursday wrap-up of the season series against the Yankees. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Cervelli, runner on at first, 1 down. And a big cut and a miss again in Chen's location. Real good.
Yeah, Cervelli, a very aggressive hitter. Not a power hitter, but aggressive hitter. So sometimes you can use that to your advantage, especially when you get 1 ball, 2 strikes. Just run the ball up the ladder. And again, I can talk about it, but he just did it. Perfect pitch.
Chen is working on 6 days rest this season. This is going to be his 10th start on 6 days rest. He's gone 4-2 in those starts. ERA 4.25, about a run higher than his yearly ERA, and opponent batting average 275, which is almost the same as what he's done overall.
Well, you mentioned again matchups and who's going to be on the roster depending who you're playing. He's 6-0 against the American League West, but this year has not pitched against either the Tigers or out there in the West, the Angels.
So who does that favor? Them or Chen if it ended up?
Well, it probably favors him because he's 16-4. He didn't have to pitch against some real good hitting teams.
At the first base, tag on the bag. Good play made by Walker, and that will do it. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. It'll be Flaherty, Joseph, and Jonathan Schoop coming up. Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. And by Luna, for beautiful no carpet, hardwood, and laminate. Call 877-241-LUNA. Yankee Stadium in New York, where the Yankees this season have gone 41-36. Their final 4 games here, they finish up against the Red Sox in Boston. The Yankees have now had 23 consecutive winning seasons at home, going back through 1992 through this year. Pineda will be working to Flaherty. Ryan Flaherty getting the start at third base, which is probably the biggest question postseason wise for the Orioles. How many third basemen do you take? Who are they going to be, and who starts?
Well, if you played the Tigers, let's see. You have Price, Verlander, and Scherzer, 2 righties, Verlander and Scherzer, and then Price. So you don't have to worry about the first 2, Verlander and Scherzer, if that's the order, but Price may end up. I think where you got to really be concerned, lefty versus lefty.
Yep.
And, Jimmy Paredes can hit, but I don't think they're very comfortable with him at third base.
No.
Doesn't appear that's the case.
Ryan Flaherty going after the first pitch. Gardner, busy day. Wind blowing out a bit to left right now, and he'll put it away. 1 pitch. Flaherty is retired. Oriole fans can earn rewards for sharing and posting Orioles content on social media. Join the O's Bird's Nest at osbirdsnest.com. You enter today's bonus code Hoiles, Hoiles. Before midnight tonight, receive 2 bonus tokens and be entered to win a monthly prize of the autographed player or the year-end prize 2 tickets to opening day next year. Join osbirdsnest.com. Pineda working in a hurry. Pitch taken inside by Caleb Joseph. Joseph trying to get out of the 0 for 19 that he is in. Average down to 217. Time for him to get a couple of hits just to feel better about it.
Oh, yes. 1. That would be a good start.
There's that pitch down and away. 1-1.
Yeah, those are the kind of pitches that if you swing at, and it was kind of a feeble swing, you don't want to put them in play. Of course, Pineda, it's the pitcher's pitch. He would have liked to have seen that ball popped up somewhere. 4 for his last 39 for Caleb Joseph.
1-1 delivery to him late.
So you see, and I don't know if it's being, he says, hey, listen, I don't know where the bat head is. I'm kind of looping the bat. Went through that streak where he hit 5 home runs in 5 consecutive games, and obviously very confident. And then the league adjusts. Maybe the fact he's probably caught more, played longer. At this level, that's huge too.
1-2 delivery, and he'll get him with that pitch, and Pineda gets his second strikeout.
Yeah, perfect slider. This is what you do to guys that are slumping. This is what you do to the best hitters, the Cruzes, the Joneses. And a great angle right here. What's that slider? And we see where it ends up, but the illusion is it's on the plate, and then the good slider, because he's so tall and gets on top of it, it just veers away from the outside corner.
So a couple of quick outs here. Pineda's delivery to Scope, breaking ball that froze him. It's in there. Jonathan Scope, big year against the Yankees. 275 his average. He's had 4 home runs against the Yankee pitching this year. 0-1 count to him. Pineda. And the pitch is inside to it.
Well, 2 of them came off Tanaka. 3-run shot, 2-run shot. There you go. High slider. Just covered the outside corner. The ball stayed up and off to the races. That was a good take.
For Jonathan Scope, 2 of the home runs hit here at Yankee Stadium. He's hit 350 here at Yankee Stadium with a couple of home runs for the rookie, who's going to be in there at second base, as he has been most of this season for the Orioles. Here's the 2-1 delivery on the way, slapped down to third. That one's got to be knocked down. Headley up, his throw, got him. Good play by Headley to hang with him, and that'll be 9 in a row retired by Pineda. So we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Pitchers getting some quick outs and no score. University of Maryland, University College. Orioles first baseman Rafael Palmeiro, 7 years with the O's. In In his 20 years in the majors, 569 home runs, joined the 3,000 hit club, playing with the Orioles. 284 average, 701 RBIs, two-time Gold Glove winner, and an All-Star while in Baltimore, part of the Orioles' 60th anniversary.
Yeah, one of the four guys, 3,000 hits or more, 500 home runs.
Yum, 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 yum. Nothing like good food, and that is nothing like it. But boy, does it taste good. See some of the empty seats upstairs there, talking about how they're not going to fill the ballpark here in these final 4 games. If they draw folks, it'll be all about Jeter, of course.
Well, still a lot of people, though, for 80 and 75 record, because it is the Yankees, and it is Yankee Stadium, and it is New York.
And you bought the tickets a long time ago.
Well, that too.
Yes. Ichiro, 3-game hit streak for Ichiro. He is 0 for 5. Lifetime against Wei and Chen. 40-year-old will take the pitch on the outside corner for a strike. During the hit streak, he has had a couple of home runs, putting the ball in play hard here to round out the season. And grounded down to third this time, backhanded by Flaherty, and a stretch by Walker, and he dropped the ball anyway.
Yeah, there is no such thing as a routine ground ball. I mean, we even been closer, as you mentioned. 40 years old, turns 41, so catch it. I don't know if I'd take that much time. Get it over there, and then the long stretch, throw just off enough. Where I think he's trying to stay on the bag, and he wouldn't have. I think the foot came off.
It did?
Yeah, toe off the bag, so I would imagine that'd be a throwing error.
Error will be charged on Flaherty at third base. That'll be his 9th error. And all of a sudden, here, the last couple of weeks, the error is piling up at third base, no matter who's playing there. So Ichiro on the error, leading off the 3rd inning. Here's Pirela, who's getting his start as a DH. This is his major league debut in this ball game for Pirela, and he's had it now that he has seen the first pitch of the game. A great chance for him. Signed to a major league contract, selected to the Yankees roster from AAA on Tuesday. Played the season, AAA 305. He led the International League in about every offensive category. 305 average, 87 runs, 21 doubles, 11 triples. Had 10 home runs, 60 RBIs, played in 130 games in the International League. Pirela will go after that one. His first major league at bat is deep left center. That's going to fall in off the top of the wall. It is in play. Ichiro will score in his first major league at bat. He's got a triple and bangs Mother Earth. Jose Pirela.
Well, if you're playing in Baltimore, it's a home run. Yankee Stadium, you got some room to pitch to. But this ball is jolted out to left center field. Boy, what a thrill that is. Got a great pitch to hit. You can see Joseph sliding in. Ball never gets there. And then if it goes over, it's going to save him a run. And he almost falls down right here. Gets his balance. So there you go. Not bad. 11 triples at AAA this year. 1 for 1 in the bigs.
So the Yankees get a 1-0 lead on the error that allowed Ichiro to reach. Now Gardner. Orioles play the infield back except for Flaherty at third base. Flaherty will stay just off the grass at third. Gardner will take the pitch, and it will be a strike.
Yeah, so the little things, and well taken your point about what are you doing third base. Again, you get into the postseason, you don't get as many runs. Pitching gets better in most cases. So you make the error, and then you give up the double, and now with the infield back, it's with nobody out. In fact, you don't want to, because Gardner can steal bases when he's healthy, and he appears to be healthy again. You don't want to play in, have him hit the ball by him, which is easier, and then have him steal a base, and all of a sudden you got yourself a big inning.
Chen with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Gardner will take the pitch, and it'll be up high. And the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, and this is how it all starts, because if you're Wei and Chen, you've already given up 1 run you didn't want to give up. So now all of a sudden, you know the runner's over there. You're trying to make the perfect pitch. That doesn't always work. And now you get yourself into a hitter's count.
Gardner, 2 ball 1 strike count. Runner off third base. Gardner will take it, and that's going to miss. And the count goes to 3-1. Chen this year, runners on in scoring position, has had a very strong 207 batting average by opponents. Real good number for Chen. Dave Wallace.
Yeah, Gardner
happy
hit
with that.
Yeah, hit a 17th home run, which is 9 more than he's ever hit. That was yesterday. McCann with a couple of home runs.
3 ball 1 strike count. Gardner will put it up in the air, not deep. Runners tagging at third base. Markakis knows it. They're hollering to him. Runner's going to go. Here's the throw to the plate. Runner's going to go back. So Perella started, and he made the right move on that one, because Markakis put it into the glove of Joseph, and he would have been out by about 5 feet. That'll leave the runner at third base.
So a lot of options with speed. Got hit on the shoulder, missed the 4 games. The other shoulder. So there you go. Perfect throw. Right on the money.
So the runner stays at third. The arm of Markakis holding that run off the board, at least for the moment.
So now your infield comes in halfway.
Jeter coming to the plate. Jeter hitting .282 with runners in scoring position. Flied out to right on 1 pitch in the first at bat. Chen's delivery to him is going to be inside for a ball. Jeter has really struggled against the Orioles this year. He's hitting only .148 against the Orioles coming into the ball game. That compared to that .297 career average that he has, and that includes the numbers from this year.
Yeah, it really started in August at .203. We saw the bat slow. I mean, it's been better as of late.
1-0 delivery by Chen. Ground ball. Runner coming. Hardy's got to go to first, and Jeter will get the RBI. And the Yankees have a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, you play halfway, so you want to be able to if it's hit on the ground, but that ball took a high hop. And when J.J. Hardy had to, and you could see the congratulations for Perella. So minute J.J. can't get the low hop. Watch this ball stay up right there. No chance at home.
Oh, a 2-0 lead. Chen now with 2 down, bases empty. It'll bring up McCann, who grounded out his first time up. One of these runs unearned. And the pitch for a strike. If you're Perella, how's this story going already? You're 25 years old. You made your major league debut at Yankee Stadium, and I hit a triple. And then Derek Jeter drove me in. First time I crossed the plate. See, that's a pretty good beginning to a story. In fact, that's a pretty good story, period. Ball in the air to center. Adam Jones is there. And McCann is retired. So the Yankees will pick up a couple of runs, one of them earned on just 1 hit, 1 error, and nobody left on. As we said, the Indians beat the Royals in the completion of a suspended game today, 4-3. They also play the regular game tonight. So KC is 2 games back now in the Central behind the Tigers. The Giants and Dodgers, big series. The Dodgers' magic number is just 3. So they got a chance to wrap it up on their own. The Giants lead in the wild card by 4.5. That's the number 2 wild card spot. The Angels, their pitching concerns remain. Weaver and Wilson, according to the Los Angeles Times story today, once you get by the starting twosome, who's going to pitch after that when it comes to the postseason? Unclear.
Well, that's because of injuries. Garrett Richard down with a knee. With Matt Shoemaker had a terrific year. He's got a little bit of an oblique. The other thing, I mean, is C.J. Wilson's pitching tonight. And they are playing Oakland, so it'll be very interesting because he pitched well his last time, but he had some ankle problems. So, Weaver's the guy that you can count on. But, even C.J. Wilson not having a typical year.
Tyler Skaggs is gone for the season. Hector Santiago has retired only 9 batters in his last 2 starts and has an ERA of 10.
It's not easy to do.
That's not. And Wade Lovelock has pitched pretty well in his last outing, but his ERA this year is 5.3. So they've got real concerns, the Angels do, about what they're going to do when it comes to starters.
Yeah, right up there with the Tigers offensively. And
Nick Markakis popped out his first time up. De Aza will follow, and then Jones. Pitch will be taken for a strike on Nick. Markakis this year, a lifetime .296 average against the Yankees, only .230 against New York pitching this season. Pineda's delivery to him. Ground ball will go to second base. Drew is there. Had to wait as Cervelli had his back to him getting back to first base. Our Krieger Eye Institute owes upcoming schedule from routine to the most specialized eye care. LifeBridge Health's Krieger Eye Institute handles it all. Call 410-601-2020 for a same-day appointment. 4 games against the Yankees here in New York. Then the Orioles finish up the season in Toronto with a 3-game set Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Jays. Alejandro De Aza grounded out his first time up. Closest the Orioles have come to picking up a hit off Pineda was the play made on De Aza by Drew at second. And a strike taken.
Yeah, maybe the fastball after the shoulder surgery and the lat injury early in the year that cost him almost 4 months. Maybe not the way it was when we first saw him back in 2011, but change up to Markakis, another change up there, but the slider good. The fact that he's able to get on top of it and throw it in any count.
Looks pretty comfortable, doesn't it?
I went through that arm injury, so whether you're playing for the Yankees or the Orioles, you wish these guys luck just to come back and go through what he had to go, because Jesus Montero, we saw him hit a couple of home runs. The next thing you know, he's on his way up to Seattle, and they thought that Pineda at his age would be the guy that would step right in and be, along with CC Sabathia, a right-handed dominant guy.
2-1 delivery in the air to center. Gardner. He's got it, and there are 2 down. And it's time for you fans to tweet your photo using hashtag #MASSNFanPhotos for a chance to have it shown in a future broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Pineda here at Yankee Stadium. The limited starts that he's had is 2-1. This is his 6th start here in his home ballpark. He's got a 1.95 earned run average in those previous 5 starts here in New York.
Yeah, how about being 1-4 on the road with a 2.37 ERA? It gives you an idea that when they only score 2.44 runs, he doesn't qualify for the least amount of runs because he hasn't pitched the innings, but that's down there in the grouping.
Sure is.
Yeah, there's 93. And the other thing, and I didn't pitch in this park, but I pitched in Yankee Stadium, and it was similar. You want to be able to pitch to center field if you can. He's doing a nice job of that tonight.
Jones at the plate, fly to center his first time up. There have been 3 fly balls to center field so far, and Adam with a big cut. We talk about the runs Pineda doesn't get. The Yankees have been shut out 10 times this year. 3 of them have come in his starts, and he's only had 11 starts. So he's had 3 ball games where they haven't scored a run while he's been in the game. 0-2 count. 2 down, nobody on here in the 4th inning. Yankees have a 2-0 lead. Pineda's delivery. Jones will just foul it back. For Adam Jones, completing in the final week of another great regular season, and we told you against the Yankees, yahoo.
Well, he can go yahoo at a lot of people.
Yeah. 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and that whopping .322 batting average. Pineda ahead here 0-2. Adam is 3 for 9 off the 25-year-old right-hander.
Well, his philosophy of, you try to win today, and if you don't, you just come back out, do the same things, and it really plays well, not only over a career, but especially 162 games, which usually, unless you win your division, he plays most of them.
1-2 delivery fouled off. It would be too general a statement to say Adam does not have a down day, but Adam doesn't have a down day.
No.
Not at the ballpark.
Well, he reminds me of Brooks Robinson in that way. I mean, Brooks just. And Gene Woodling, who played here on a lot of those great Yankee teams, was our hitting instructor. And he'd go, Brad Brooksy, nothing ever worries him. 0 for 4. Goes home, gets a good night's sleep, comes back out. Doesn't even hardly remember what went on the day before, just competes. And that's how you play at a great level for a long time.
That is what Adam Jones does. And in addition to that, as with Brooksy, he's taken a great leadership role, which there was some question about when Adam first started. First 2 years, would he be one to grow into that role? Well, he's done much more than that. He's a genuine leader on this team off the field. 2-2 delivery on the way, chases the heat upstairs. Pineda's perfect. He retires the side in order. No Orioles reach through 4. 2-0 Yankees. Half of the 4th inning, our Jeep inside the numbers. Yikes.
Yeah. Well, talking to Joe Girardi as you were down behind the cage, and there's been some criticism. We might have a quote later about where Jeter is. He said, well, I'm really having a lot of options with all the injuries and the fact that we really haven't. I mean, they're averaging 3.9 runs a game. I mean, they're just not scoring a lot of runs. And you get into September, still in the race, like to score more runs. Kind of kidding around with Kevin Long, their hitting instructor, said, well, the equation, just do what you did yesterday. Hit 3 home runs. Tanaka pitched real well, came back first time he's pitched since, July 7th or 8th?
Word only so easy.
Yeah, that's not.
For the Yankees, they are ranked 11th in average, 13th in runs, 8th in home runs. Their on-base percentage is next to last in the American League. Their pitching has been in the middle of the pile. 8th overall in earned run average. Their bullpen is 9th. It's pretty much sums it up. They're second, remember, in the East. 13 games behind, but kind of forget the Orioles running away with it so quickly. But the Yankees have moved into that second spot, 2 games ahead of Toronto. 0-1 count on Chris Young, and the pitch will be taken up high. Young, a strikeout victim, his first time up since joining the Yankees on the 2nd of this month. 13 for 47 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. Gets jammed by Chen, and the pitch will miss. 2-1. Chen has walked none, struck out 3. Pineda, no walks. He struck out 3. 2-2-0 for the Yankees. 0-0-1 for the Orioles. Got him to swing through that one, and not a pretty cut to watch.
Yeah, really only the one mistake tonight, and that was to Varela. Got a ball in the middle of the plate. Doesn't take much.
2-2 count. Defense pretty much straight away on Young. And he'll step out a little too long on the mound for Chen, for him anyway. Here's the 2-2 delivery. Popped him up the other way. That's going to end up in the seats. Count stays at 2-2. The Orioles, if they can get victory here in this ball game, would have their 94th. It would be their highest single season victory since 1997, when the club won 98 games. Record for the Orioles 1969 with 109 wins. That'll bounce off the plate, and the count will go full. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, this is where you get, and I think sometimes you mentioned that Wei Chen with only the 32 walks, but the 23 home runs. Leadoff guy, the difference between being 2-2 and 3-2 is huge. You've got to throw a strike. You're already down by 2-0, and you have to throw it more for the middle of the plate.
And there's one of those rare walks.
Well, and I think the count has a lot to do with it.
And that is a leadoff walk here in the 4th inning. Orioles headed to October. Be there for 1-hour postseason editions of O's Extra before and after every game. Follow the Birds on Twitter at Masson Orioles for news, game updates, and chances to win prizes. Masson is your maximum Orioles postseason network. Chase Headley will stand in with a runner on. Headley picked up a base hit his first time up, and will take the strike on the inside corner. 0-1 for Headley. Opportunity to move that leadoff man up for Chen. A chance for a ground ball if he can get it and get the double play. Not a big lead at first. That'll be down the line. Not a lot of stolen base attempts against Chen. Only 6. 5 of the 6 have been successful. But he holds runners pretty well, and you got Joseph with a 43% throw him out number.
Yeah, they'd be better off if this isn't the count to do it, to try to start the runner. And Headley already, I mean, the single backspinned it right into center field. Put a good swing on it.
Here's the 0-2 delivery to him. Will miss down low. 1 ball, 2 strike count on Headley. Couple of hits in his last 11 at bats coming into the game, and then the one he's picked up in this ball game.
Yeah, this is the first year that Wei Chen has ever thrown more grounders than fly balls.
1 ball, 2 strike count, delivery on the way, and that's going to be inside. So the count will go to 2-2 on Headley. Chen has been tougher with runners on base than when they are empty, working well out of the stretch this year. 247 with runners on, 282 when the bases are empty. 2-2 delivery, runner not going anywhere. There's the ground ball he wanted. Hardy goes to Scope the relay to Walker, and there's the double play.
Yeah, if you watch Jonathan Scope play second base, there's a guy now playing that used to wear the pinstripes, Robinson Cano. Look at this. I mean, this is where it all starts. Hardy over to Scope. Look at that. I mean, he's got the strong arm. He's got a Cano-like arm. He'd love to get his contract. Got to earn it, though. A lot of money. That's another reason you talk about the lack of offense, obviously. Robin Cano leaves, goes up to Seattle for what they offered him, $175 million.
Yep. Well, you get, and Jim, they took the chance that Jeter, Teixeira, older players would still have great years, and they haven't. Throw by Flaherty is on the money, and Cervelli is retired. Good defensive inning for the Orioles. Leadoff walk for Knott for the Yankees. Only 3 base. By PNC Bank for the achiever in you, and by AT&T, mobilizing your world. City of New York extremely busy with the Environmental United Nations conference going on. The president is going to be here, I believe, arrives tomorrow, and he's going to be in town for 4 days. So a good part of the east side of New York, around the 42nd to 48th Street, and from Lexington Avenue down to the United Nations headquarters on First Ave, is shut off.
Think he'll be here Thursday night
at the ballpark? There's a chance. There is a chance. Yep, he's going to stay for 4 days as part of that big conference. Nelson Cruz coming up. 2-0 lead as we go to the 5th inning. Cruz, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Great numbers overall and big numbers on the road. Cruz tied for first in road home runs this season in the American League. 24 of his home runs have been hit on the road. He will foul that one back. In addition to that, he leads the league in RBIs on the road, and as a designated hitter, he is 4th in home runs and RBIs.
So to get to 40, he's going to have to hit number 25 on the road.
Yes.
Boy, he's been hot in this month, and
that'll go to right field. Ichiro is there.
There's 10 Gold Gloves out there. Boy, he gets good jumps on the ball, even at, as you mentioned, 40 going on 41 in October.
Wants to play some more. Said I hope to be able to sign a deal, play somewhere here, preferably. Here is J.J. Hardy. He flied out his first time up. Pitch will be taken for a strike. J.J. looking to finish the season with some big numbers, and most of all to finish healthy. Have that back stand up for him. 1-0 pitch, that's going to be inside. One down, nobody on here in the 5th inning. Orioles trying to find a base runner. Pineda just holding them down. 1 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way, and that'll be outside.
Well, he's pitching, as you mentioned, all 3 starts have been great against the Orioles. They don't ever get him any runs, so all 3 no decisions, but all those games in Baltimore right down to the wire. First one of that doubleheader, Orioles won it 2-1 in 11, trailed 1-0, came up with 2, 5-0 in the nightcap, and then lost 3-2, won 3-2.
2 ball, 2 strike count. Pineda keeps his D on their toes. He gets the ball back and works it. We're going to put him on the committee for speeding up the game, formed by the Commissioner of Baseball. That'll be a base hit into left field. Hardy on with a single. Interesting that J.J. Hardy's playing here in New York with Jeter out there at short. Quote today, USA Today, who's going to play when Jeter leaves? J.J. Hardy. Somewhat fitting, the free agent to be will be on the field for Jeter's final home game. That's Thursday. Hardy fits the solid citizen veteran team leader mold, but he's also a 5-time 20-plus home run guy. From USA Today, Hardy's going to be a free agent. Who's going to play there at short next year? Will it be J.J. Hardy?
Yep.
Maybe.
Let's throw in the 2 Gold Gloves. Boy, they named a lot of guys. Hanley Ramirez, who is always hurt, more of a hitter than a shortstop. He's a free agent.
Swing and a miss, trying to hold up on it, could not. Walker.
Asdrubal Cabrera, who's now playing second base with the Nationals. And then, of course, Texas may be looking with Andrus, a great defenser. They're what, 8-year deal?
Yep.
For $15 million, which they could afford here. That's going to be the qualifying offer, the top 125 players next year. So
we'll see. 0-1 delivery on the way. Walker will take it outside. He grounded out his first time up. The Orioles getting on with Hardy delivering the base hit, breaking up the no-hitter for Pineda that lasted for 4 1/3 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Now he looks for the ground ball to try and quickly get out of the inning. Yankees up 2-0. Hardy hardly off the bag. Cervelli at first. The look over and the 1-1 delivery, and that'll be chopped foul right in the batter's box. So the count goes to 1-2 on Christian Walker.
Yeah, the breaking ball must be so hard to read, because even that one at 81 stayed in the inside middle and he couldn't quite get to it, just swung over it. That 6'7" height really gives him an advantage. And then the other thing is, everybody talks about pitching to contact and not being afraid of letting the ball be put into play. That's what he does. That's why he doesn't walk very many. Six all year.
Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and a swing and a miss. He got that one by him. Strikeout number 4.
Well, this is the big leagues, and the scouts would say, because Joe Kelly was throwing up to 98, so it's pretty much right down the middle, but a lot of sliders early on, and then just a fastball a little bit up towards the top of the zone.
So 2 down. Hardy remains at first base. Here's Flaherty flied out to center field his first time up. Flaherty will take the pitch up and away. Pineda, of course, coming off the injury, has kind of been limited as far as how deep he can go into a ball game. 7 1/3 innings has been his longest this year. That was against Tampa Bay on the 11th of this month. Ryan Flaherty 1-0. Pineda's pitch to him, and that's there for a strike, 1-1.
Yeah, not only is it a changeup, it's a good one. I mean, great movement, not looking for it. Almost looked like a 2-seam fastball that moves so much.
Pineda with that size and that delivery for hitters, it's got to seem like he's about halfway to the plate when he lets the ball go. Swing and a miss.
And the other thing, Gary, the way you use your front side, you saw it with Sid Fernandez. Remember, of course, a left-handed pitcher, people all looked like it was 105 miles per hour. They never could pick it up. If you watch his front side at 6'7", I mean, a lot of movement with it. But I mean, the line is great. But just watch the way. If you're a hitter, I got to think it's hard to see the ball. I mean, the way he uses his front side to get down the rubber.
Fastball is going to be up high, 91, and a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Ryan Flaherty trying to get an inning going here with 2 away after Hardy got the 1-out single. Yankees have picked up runs in the 3rd inning, and by the way, both of those were unearned runs. Perella, the RBI triple, and then a ground ball RBI by Jeter. Flaherty check swing, but the inning had been extended by the error that allowed the leadoff batter Ichiro Suzuki to reach base, and then run scored on what should have been the 3rd out. So both the runner who reached on the error and the 2nd run crossing, both for the result of that error. Orioles now in 2nd place in defense in the American League, fielding percentage wise and in errors committed. Here's the 2-2 delivery. Ryan Flaherty off the handle, play to first. Another good play made by Drew. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on. Orioles get their first hit of the ball game. Yankees on top, 2-0. put a team out there to win, and the announcement before it ever started that Jeter was going to be retiring. John Heyman on the Yankees, CBS Sports, saying of Girardi, who said, "I wasn't hired to put on a farewell tour." Said it back at the beginning of the season to the question about whether the long goodbye expected for Derek Jeter might affect Girardi's decision making. In the end, Girardi batted Jeter second throughout the year despite plummeting results. There's only one explanation for his continuing lineup placements. Jeter wasn't treated like a ball player but a god by his manager, and that's after he promised the opposite. It's a no-win for Girardi.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why, Joe, when I asked him about that, alluding to that article, in a sense, he said, hey, check out the rest of the guys that hit second when Derek didn't play. And he said, I didn't have a lot of options. And to me, yeah, it's a bat slowed. He's 40 years old. He's not the first guy. I mean, he can give you a litany, a list of that perfect hitter to hit it number 2. Hits the ball to right field. Got a guy that's having his career year in Gardner. He had one bad month. I mean, has the bat slowed? Is the home runs down? You know, slugging percentage, of course. But he's stolen 10 bases. And he is Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
And I think Joe Girardi has earned the fact that they can write all that stuff. They've never had to fill out a lineup. That's what writers do. It's entitled to his opinion.
That's second for a strike by Drew. You do have to. I mean, I think Girardi's right. You can say that, but what are the options?
No.
Who else are you going to put in there in that spot? And there weren't a lot of choices this year. 1-1 delivery on the way to Drew, and a swing and a miss. Chen with a walk and 3 strikeouts got Drew to ground out. Drew will stand out for a minute here. Ichiro and Perella are due up for the Yankees in the 5th inning.
And Stephen Drew is another, certainly a candidate. Had a nice year with the Red Sox at shortstop. But
he'll take that into the shift and get a base hit. Hit him where they ain't is easy to say when the shift's on. It's really hard to do, but he did it, and he's got a leadoff single.
Well, you got to hit it hard, and that's what he did. Got a ball in the middle of the plate and just didn't overswing. Hit it crisply, and he goes, what shift? Take a look. I mean, there's J.J. Hardy getting his feet set, but they're playing him to pull a little bit more.
So a single. 3 leadoff batters in a row now have been on 3 out of the 5 innings against Chen, who retires 69% of leadoff batters. Here's Ichiro. He reached on the error to start that 2-run 3rd inning. 2 unearned runs off Chen. Ichiro coming around on the triple by Perella. Yankees now with 3 hits in the ball game. Pitcher's game. There's only 4 combined hits so far. Flaherty even with a bag at 3rd. Chen's delivery will be taken away and evens it up at 1-1.
So you get Derek Jeter. Derek's 40. So is Ichiro. 2 batting titles. 10 straight Gold Gloves. All-time hit record 262. And yeah, he wants to play Ichiro next year, but he may not.
He launches that one to second base. Scope. Hardy relay in a hurry. Got him. And the Orioles have their 2nd double play of the ball game.
Yeah, a little breaking ball, and that's at least for Wayan because he doesn't sink the ball. That's his double play of choice. There it is, little shovel. In fact, you're able to clear the runner easily. Well, there you go. I mean, look at this, perfect. And because he gets it to him so perfectly, he gets to clear the runner and get out of harm's way. So,
Hardy, I'm sorry, Jim.
Yeah, no, that's right. I was just thinking, musing about Ichiro because he's going to be the first Asian Hall of Famer. No doubt in my mind, the things he's been able to do. Might have 2 guys retiring after this year, maybe one by choice and the other one by the fact that maybe not an opportunity to play.
Jose Perella getting his first at bat in the majors. 3rd inning, delivered a triple and picked up an RBI. What a way to start. He fouls that one off.
And Wayan says, no more out over the plate. Learned my lesson. Home run in pretty much any other ballpark in baseball. Short hop to 399.
Perella hadn't played for the 6 games since his call up after his AAA season ended. It didn't take him long to get on it. We mentioned how he was their all-star at second base at Scranton. Led the league hits, runs, batting average, second in total bases. 1-2 the count. Jose Pirela will launch that one to right. What do you mean, Major Leagues? What a night to remember he's having. He is 2 for 2.
Well, he's always been able to steal bases, and at the end of the day, whether it's the big leagues or the minor leagues, if you get pitches to hit, this is a curveball that stays up, and use the whole field, watch him get that front foot down, great angle of what you try to do right here, and he just hits it firmly into right field. So fastball for the triple. That was out over the plate. Breaking ball, and 2 good pitches a hit, and hasn't missed them.
25-year-old out of Venezuela, and major league debut in the ball game, and he, as Jim said, he can run. See whether or not they want to chance that here, or maybe just take a look at him.
Well, with Gardner up, what's you have to lose if he gets a good jump? Just go on your first move.
Chen.
And he doesn't.
He doesn't. And the pitch taken by Gardner is 0 for 2, a strikeout and a fly ball out. Signed by the Yankees as a free agent. Pirela getting the lead at first. Runner will get back as Chen just lob tosses that one over there.
Well, a lot of perseverance, because he started the Dominican Summer League, as did Pineda, way back in 2007, and then just kind of worked his way up through their minor league system.
I was looking at the positions he played. My gosh, first, second, short, left, center, right, and DH'd at AAA this year. Voted to the All-Star team at International as a second baseman. Here's the 1-0 delivery. That'll be outside. And Gardner gets ahead on the count 2-0. 5 for 14. Lifetime off Chen with a home run.
Yeah, he had his home run off a lefty yesterday. As we mentioned, career high. There's a lot of home runs. The guy at 17 never hit more than 9.
8 of them here at this ballpark. 2-0. Pirela leaning, not going. Same pitch and same result. So the count goes to 3-0 on Gardner with Jeter waiting on deck. There are 2 down. Showalter can keep a close eye on these starters here in the final week. Said today when it gets to Toronto on Sunday, he wants every pitcher to be in the ball game that's going to be going to the postseason. 3-0 delivery, and that's there for a strike. Gardner taking all the way. 3 ball, 1 strikeout on Gardner. Speedster at the plate against the Orioles, hitting only 192 this year. Long hold, runner stays, Gardner takes, and he's on. Second walk by Chen.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned before, the scoreboard has a lot to do with it. You're down by 2 runs, don't want to give up any more. And as it turns out, he walks Gardner to get to Derek Jeter. You know, we mentioned struggled in August, but he came in 8 for his last 17, couple of doubles, hit the home run. Had gone 298 at bats here at the Yankee Stadium between home runs. Hit it off R.A. Dickey down the left field line.
So an RBI opportunity for Jeter. He's got 1 on a ground ball in the 3rd inning, flied out in his first at bat. Jeter has had 4 hits in 19 at bats against Chen, including 1 home run. First and second, 2 down. Yankees are 8th in the league in these situations with a .252 batting average. As we said, Jeter, though, pretty good at .282. 2 down. Jeter down to 3rd.
Wow.
Missed the bag by 1 size of a baseball.
Yeah, a little changeup speeds up the bat, and he almost ends up with a double. You know, talking to Kenny Singleton, my former teammate, does the Yankee games. He said he's had better bat speed. A couple hit 90-mile-per-hour fastballs down into the corner, and then Kenny said, "It's time." He knows it's time. He said, I knew when to retire when I couldn't hit the fastball.
And you got to believe the adrenaline for Jeter will just flowing here, and so that picks it up a little bit. That's and good for him. 0-1 delivery on the way, and that'll go the other way, foul. So Chen will get on top of him here, 2 strikes.
He's been one of those fortunate guys that seems like the adrenaline has been able to flow since 1996.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter April or October. Again, that article we talked about in Baltimore, the metronome of brilliance. Day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year.
0-2 count. Chen trying to work his way out of this. Runners off first and second base. Jeter will foul that one back. Played more shortstop games than anyone else in the history of Major League Baseball. 2,672 career games, all at short. And of course, all his years, 20 of them played here for the Yankees.
What, 2,732 lifetime games?
Yep. Never started at another position. 0-2 count. Varela, Gardner, the base runners. It'll be taken. It's the other name we didn't mention, and we've got to, because in the offseason, is it ever going to be mentioned? Someone named A-Rod is coming back to the Yankees next year, apparently, and he is a shortstop.
He's got 2 more years. Well, not anymore, not at age. He'll be 40. He's 1 year younger than Derek.
1 ball, 2 strike count. Jeter will take it.
Well, and the other name that's been prominently named and thrown out there is Troy Tulowitzki, who plays for the Rockies, because he's tired of the losing, and of course they'd love to have him, but he's got some years on his deal.
MVP quality player for much of his career in Colorado. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jeter. Single by Perella at second, walk to Gardner at first. Wei and Chen's 2-2 pitch. Jeter takes, and it's full. 3 close ones, but not quite, and the runners will be going.
Yeah, an inch or two either over the plate or up a little bit, he'd be hacking. And back in, we've already seen him, for a guy that doesn't walk very many, get to points where you have to throw strikes in these counts, getting into full counts.
Three-two delivery, runners go. Yankees working Chen here this inning. Jeter's going to get his 8th pitch of the at bat for Chen. 24th pitch of the inning. There have been 2 singles and a walk in the inning with that big double play Ichiro hit into. Took away that leadoff single. Again, the 3-2. And Jeter puts it down the line. That's going to be a fair ball into the corner. It will score Perella. Gardner's being waved around. There'll be no throw to the plate. A double, 2 RBIs for Jeter.
Well, that's what Kenny Singleton was talking about, and then you get about 9 pitches to see. You know, and end up going to the Hall of Fame if you don't know how to hit and time people. Doesn't matter how old you are. 18 double of the year and streamed it down into the corner. Dave Wallace going to come out and talk to Wei and Chen. Boy, it really got the bat head to that ball.
So Jeter has a 3 RBI ball game going. Dave Wallace talking to Chen, who's had a long inning and not done yet. Yankees add 2 more here and take a 4-0 lead.
And they also do what they don't normally do for Michael Pineda, get him runs.
4 runs, 5 hits for the Yankees.
That was the 3,460 hit for Derek Jeter. Boy, is that a ton of hits.
McCann's 0 for 2. He is grounded out and flied out. McCann's hit lefties well, 298. And we'll take the pitch down low for a ball. Much better than against right-handers, who's hitting 211. Real difference. For McCann, who's doing the catching, he's got a 3-game hit streak coming into this ball game. Jeter off second. Shift is on. Scope out there in shallow right field. McCann will take it up and in, and it's 2-0.
And as we mentioned, 7 home runs in September. Hit 2 against the Orioles. 1 on a changeup from Gonzalez. Also 1 off of Darren O'Day. 2 yesterday.
Big .313 career number, batting average against the Orioles. 2-0 count. Chen. McCann looking way up in the air, but it's in the yard. Jones into the night sky, puts it away. But a 2-run inning done on 3 hits, no errors, and a runner left on, and the Yankees now lead it 4-0. The 2015 Orioles Dream Week. It begins January 25 in beautiful Sarasota, Florida. A week filled with baseball games, Buck O'Neill Baseball Complex and Ed Smith Stadium. You get instruction from former O's and a full major league experience. Travel packages include hotel, flights, even your own Orioles uniform. For details, Orioles.com/Dreamweek.
I'm telling you, in a couple of days, I could turn you into a screwballing lefty.
Yes,
you're already lefty.
That's right. And I'm not screwball, so you don't even have to do anything.
Well, yeah, but
you mean on the baseball field?
Yes.
Sorry. Misinterpreted that. Sorry.
I could see. I don't know about the high leg kick, but you'd be great with a slide
step. Pickoff move, though. It's illegal, but it's a great move.
How'd they get on?
Huh? Well, that's what I asked. How'd they get on? And why am I always in the pickoff mode?
That was one of the great stories of all time. Is when Mike Flanagan first came up, he had trouble holding runners. He'd eventually have one of the best pickoff moves, so he's throwing in between, and Earl's just standing there, and all of a sudden he takes off. He goes, "I just stole second. You're not concentrating." And Flanny looked at him, and he goes, "How'd you ever get on?" Oh, God, we all went crazy.
It's a great line.
Oh, one of the classics. Oh.
They has given up only 1 hit, no walks, 4 strikeouts. He gets Joseph to lead it off here. Strikeout victim, his first time up. Hardy, the only hit, a single in the 5th inning, and that is there for a strike.
Yeah, it almost looks like that fastball is a little cutter. The cut fastball, he just hold it off center, so it gets a little more movement, and then when he wants to throw the 4-seamer, he gets into the 92-3 range.
Foul back, came inside and up a little bit. 0-2. Pineda on the money here in this ball game. He's been very impressive. The Orioles not really getting any hard outs off him. 1 hard out and the 1 single picked up by Hardy through that 5.5 hole. Otherwise, he's pretty much dominated the ball game. 0-2 count. And that's back into the screen as well. Orioles on the road this season, 43-31. They've been strong all year in road games. Buck Showalter's ball club right from the beginning. Even when they had a little bit of a struggle at home to start the year, they were winning games on the road. 0-2 delivery, and that will be taken outside. Orioles, of course, with winning records against all of the American League East teams. Putting together this great season so far against the Yankees. They've won each of the first 5 series of the year against New York. 1-2 delivery. Joseph on a swing and a miss. Can't catch up.
Yeah, the old slide ball. 90-91 on your fist, and then you throw this one. And it takes a little bit off. Big breaker. You see, it looks like it ends up in the middle of the plate, but it doesn't. Just kind of veers to the outside portion. And Tim Presley looking on, Oriole hitting instructor. He knows. He knows how hard it is to hit a good slider.
Here is Jonathan Schoop, grounded out his first time up. Jonathan will take the pitch, and it is a strike. Schoop this season on the road hitting .223. 10 of his 15 home runs have been hit in road games. The 0-1 delivery, that one down and into him. 0-2.
That was the old changeup that acts like a screwball. If you gave Michael Pineda the run support that Wei and Chen is, you could conceivable he could have won all the starts. Almost 6 runs a game. He gets 2.44. 2.44. That's how well he's pitched.
0-2 delivery and up a little bit. There's another K. That's 6 strikeouts, 2 in the inning.
Nothing like having good stuff and confidence. Let's go get him. Gets ahead again just like he did, and then up the ladder at 93. So you've seen screwballs, you've seen sliders, then you see a little extra gas.
Career high strikeout is 10. That was back in 2011 against Tampa Bay. 2 down. Nick Markakis, leadoff batter's 0 for 2. He has popped out and grounded out, now 1 for 8 lifetime off Pineda. And the pitch will miss for a ball. Well, Nick trying to find a way to get on here. Pineda's not going to walk you. 1-0 delivery taken. It's a strike. 1-1.
Well, 202 home runs for the Orioles, and as you mentioned, Hardy was the only Oriole that has hit home runs off of Michael Pineda.
1-1 delivery on the way. Markakis swings through it. 4-game set here. Right back with you tomorrow night, as it will be Ubaldo Jimenez against Brandon McCarthy. 6:30 O's Extra, 7 o'clock for the game. It is a Wednesday afternoon game because of Rosh Hashanah. It'll be Bud Norris, Shane Green in that one. 12:30 O's Extra, 105, and then a Thursday night game for Jeter's last game in New York. Fouled off outside at first. Count stays at a ball and 2 strikes. At Showalter's ball club, these games against the East are never going to be easy. It doesn't matter what the standings are. The Yankees do have that long shot to get in, so they want to get all the W's here in the final week. Try and make a run at it.
It might be fair to say they might have certainly more to lose than the Orioles.
Yeah. Down to first base, short hop Cervelli, and he's got him. So the Orioles are retired in order, and we'll go to the bottom of the 6th inning with the Yankees up 4-0.
From Yankee Stadium, Joel Pirella, first major league at bat, first major league triple, and he will score. Suzuki, who scored on the air, and here comes Derek Jeter, first RBI of the night, and then later on with a couple of guys on, a double down the corner. Ninth pitch he saw from Wei Chen. Gardner scores all the way from first to make it 4-0. Wei Chen still on the mound. Really hasn't pitched poorly, but no support, which is unusual. And then Pineda, a one-hitter, working on the night. No walks, 78 pitches. Those are your Geico game highlights. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Bottom half of the sixth, Young, Headley, and Cervelli are due up against Wei Chen. Young drew one of the 2 walks he surrendered, has also struck out. Chris Young shift on against him in the infield, and the off-speed delivery is going to be in there for a strike. Teixeira, of course, out of the lineup. This has been the case much of the year. Carlos Beltran out of the lineup. He hasn't played in the last 3 games. 5 hits in his last 40 at bats. Injury problems this year.
Well, a lot of money, and you know, they have to be elated that Tanaka could come back and pitch as well as he did yesterday. Hopefully he'll be healthy.
Down to third base, Flaherty. Walker able to keep the foot on the bag, and Young is retired. Our PNC minor league report brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Kristen Guillemette, who the Orioles fans have seen with the O's this year. You see the record on the bottom there with the O's, and with Norfolk, the right-hander with a 4-2 mark, 10 saves and a 3.91 ERA.
Yeah, and he's down there just staying sharp. We've seen him. I mean, he has a great splitter, not a hard thrower, so he's never going to be a guy that lights up the radar gun and really gets your attention. Seemed to relish being up here, and why not?
Yeah.
Didn't mind going up and down, and there's a good curveball. Yeah, Wei Chen is not your typical lefty where he turns the ball over. Very hard to throw a lot of 2-seamers and just hit the outside corner. There's back-to-back hooks.
That one will go to left field, high in the air. Diaz, he will make the catch, and there are 2 down here in the 6th inning. These pitchers have been on tonight. Hitters really having a tough time trying to find a way to get the ball in play where the defenders aren't. 2 down in the 6th.
Yeah, but for the Yankees, as well as Pineda's pitching, a couple of 2-run innings. They'll take their chances.
Here's Francisco Cervelli. Cervelli has struck out and grounded out. 2 for 6 off Wei Chen, and the pitch taken for a strike. Cervelli, of course, who works behind the plate, getting the start at first base in this ball game. 28-year-old Yankee with a Major League .271 career batting average. And the pitch by Chen will miss. 1 ball and 1 strike on Cervelli.
Yeah, had that severe hamstring pull, so on the DL for months.
One ball, 1 strike count. And Cervelli takes the pitch down low, gets ahead on a 2-1.
Yeah,
because of the injury, Cervelli playing in just his 45th game.
Yeah, 130 at bats. So you can plug him in because he can play first base, but he actually hits 50 points higher and limited at bats against right-handers.
2-1 delivery by this lefty will be a strike on the outside corner. 2 away, nobody on here in the 6th inning. 4-5-0 for the Yankees. 0-1-1 for the Orioles. 2 of the 4 runs unearned for the Yankees. The other Jeter 2 RBI double earned runs. Other RBIs have gone to Jeter and Pirella. 2-2 pitch. It'll stay that way. Kansas City trying to win the regularly scheduled game for tonight. They lead Cleveland 2-0 in that ball game. 6th inning. They lost the completion of the suspended game, picked up in the 10th inning. Cleveland won that one 4-3 this afternoon. As KC making a run for the postseason. Wow.
And the other thing I didn't know, Gary, well, a lot of things I didn't know, but one of the things about if you tie, I was looking at the Cards with a 2-game lead over the Pirates for their division, and 11-8 against them. If they would tie somehow, Pirates win 2 more than the Cards on the way in, they have to have a playoff game.
That's right. Can't have a tiebreaker in that situation.
Yeah, and because whatever team then they have to go play the wild card game.
Yes. That's why playing the wild card team, why having the best record can really help. You play a wild card team that's having to just bundle games together and put everything you have on the field to win that game, and then if they do win, move on immediately to play another one. That's going to be a base hit. He got jammed on that too, but fought it off. And Cervelli gets a 2-out single there in the 6th inning. 6th hit for the Yankees.
Well, he has very good bat control. Doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but watch him judge. I mean, it's a slider in, and he just stays inside, doesn't overswing, kind of keeps the hands. That's what they call about staying inside the ball. So you take a pretty good pitch and turn it into a single into center field to keep the inning alive.
And that will bring Drew to the plate. Stephen Drew, outstanding defensive plays in this game, and he has picked up a single. He's only had 8 hits in his last 57 at bats. Shift is on against him, and the pitch in there for a strike to Drew. There are 2 down. Chen with a chance to work out of it. 90 pitches thrown. Getting close to the end of his night, one would think. Showalter always tries to give the starters a chance to get a win. They're still pitching effectively. Leave them in, hoping runs can be gained on their side of the scorecard.
Yeah, with the run support that Wayne has gotten, it's usually where he has a lead at this point. It's certainly not the case tonight. Evan Meek, who pitched yesterday, he'll be happy to pitch every day. Just wants to show people he can still pitch in the big leagues.
Little chopper foul.
You never want to leave. Well, at least you don't want to leave when you still have a chance to win. So what do you try to get out of this inning and then hope the Orioles at least get back into the game offensively, which has been very difficult to do against Pineda. It just doesn't give you much of a chance.
No. Well, you got 1 hit.
Yeah. Well, no. But I mean, not getting leadoff guys on, not walking anybody. I mean, all the things that throwing a lot of strikes, getting ahead, making it very difficult with Brian O'Nora behind the plate, who's pretty good pitcher's umpire.
Very short lead at first. 1-2 delivery on the way, and that one's going to be fouled back. Count will stay at a ball at 2 strikes on Stephen Drew.
And the other thing is that when you're thinking about the playoffs, and he's only thrown over 100 pitches 5 times and now 30 starts, why would you want to go where you haven't gone very often when it doesn't mean a whole lot?
You don't?
No. So that's why the bullpen is up.
1-2 count. Cervelli off first base. Misses it. Evens up the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cervelli with on first. Drew to be followed by Ichiro if they can keep it alive here. Somehow Drew found a spot on the ground against the shift with that base hit he got in the 5th inning. Off speed really fooled him. He was way out in front of it. Chen gets a strikeout. That's his 4th. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 left on base. Our O's due up. Brought to you by Mazda, De Aza, Jones, and Cruz. Major League history. 1926 Hall of Famer Zach Wheat pulled a muscle after hitting his last home run. That would come as a Dodger. The 18-year veteran took 5 minutes to circle the bases in what is believed to be the longest home run trot in Major League history. They let him stay out there until he felt as though he could get up and walk around the bases. 1966, the O's clinched their first pennant in Baltimore history. Who was on the mound? Mr. Palmer.
Yay.
Against Lou Krause at Municipal Stadium, a 6-1 win.
Really?
Yep. Talking about Zach Wheat, there he is, Hall of Fame, elected 59. He played for two teams not in existence as they were then, the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Philadelphia A's of the American League. Over 2,800 hits, .350 average in 3 straight seasons. Finished up with that big .335 career batting average.
So there you go, dead ball era. I was just wondering if he maybe pulled an oblique, because
he didn't have one.
He didn't have
no players in that day and age did not have
a modern day.
That's a modern day muscle. Yeah. Over the times of evolution in baseball.
I should have known that.
It's come to.
Well, how did I not know that?
I don't know. You get the Mayo Clinic newsletter. They would have had that
circular.
In there. Yeah, they have that in there. Here's Alejandro De Aza. De Aza has grounded out and flied out.
The Mayo Clinic it's one of my apps.
It's one of my apps. It is. That and Johns Hopkins. I mean, they have those apps are really great for practical information on dieting, workouts. Really.
Okay, I believe it.
Get on, it's great. What kind of ice cream is best on any given day?
Was that cupcakes are good for you every other day of the week?
That's why I love those apps. The 1-1 delivery is a strike taken. All right, 1966. How'd you feel going to the mound?
Well, I was excited because back then there wasn't a division championship. So when you won, and I had never played, Frank Robinson come over that year, 97 wins at the end of that season. But it was one of the few games.
Yeah, yep.
They call it. Yeah, I don't think Alejandro De Aza thought he went around, but another breaking ball under the zone. Take a look. This is what they're looking at. No, he didn't swing. There you go. Looks tell you everything.
See ya.
But anyway, the game ended with Russ Snyder played center field on occasion, and he made a runners at first and second, a diving, I mean, sprawling diving play out in left center field for the last out of the game, and we went up those little walkways. It's the old ballpark in Kansas City, which had a lot of history to it. Walked up there and had one of the great celebrations of all time. They had what I remember is they had egg salad, salad, but it had mustard in it. So guys were throwing, they're lobbing it all over. And probably 4 or 5 years later, I looked at Boog Powell's sweatshirt. Back then, we weren't making a lot of money. I go, Kansas City celebration, because the mustard
still
doesn't.
The stain?
Yeah, the stain. Yeah, that was fabulous. Yes.
I love it. Here is Adam Jones.
And what? And we won there, and then we were going to out to California, and we had a little bit of trouble getting guys on the plane.
No. And even had some trouble keeping them on the plane.
Oh yeah.
Jones has flied out and struck out. 2-0 delivery to him, and swing and a miss. That 66 clinch was the franchise's first flag since the one that had been won in St. Louis in 1944 by the St. Louis Browns, who went on to have a championship team during the World War II years. 2-1 delivery on the way, and a swing and a miss. Pineda getting that slider again down and away. Wow, 2-2.
And what he's been able to do, I mean, he's got a one-hitter going, but watch him take something off this. So he drops his arm angle just a little, so one slider harder than the other. Location has just been unbelievable tonight. Pretty much what he did his first year with the Mariners.
Pineda's had no walks, 7 strikeouts in the game. Hardy, the only hit, came in the 5th inning. The Yankees have put 4 up on the board. Orioles batting here in the 7th inning. Long night for the Oriole hitters. There's JJ. He got a base hit on the ground between short and third. Clean hit. But that has been it. There's been one hard out. De Aza robbed of a hit by Drew in the first inning. The only other real chance the Orioles have had. That'll go to short on a shattered bat with the barrel going right out to Jeter. Had a chance to get that one as well. 2 down. Postseason baseball coming to Camden Yards in a little more than a week. Make sure you're at home game 1 of the AL Division Series and other games throughout the postseason as the Orioles advance. Don't miss your chance to lock in your seats now. Find out how at Orioles.com/postseason. Or call 888-848-BIRD. 2 away, nobody on. Cruz.
Well, there is no shame being handcuffed by the kind of stuff that this kid has tonight. Great pitches, great variety. That was a changeup that just broke all over the bat up on the fist of Adam Jones.
Cruz leading in home runs still with 39. Carter's got 37. Nub foul. Second in RBIs, 106, and they're going to let it roll. He's going to go down, but it's still foul. Mike Trout with 109 RBIs, leading Cruz by 3. Coming into play today, Cruz is 5th in the league in slugging percentage, 4th, well, actually tied for 3rd now in extra base hits. The most valuable Oriole on Sunday, receiving that accolade at the ballpark.
Yeah, late sign right at the end of February.
One of the best signings in the spring of any major league team for what it's meant to the ball club. Here's the 1-1 delivery on the way, rips it foul.
See, there's the one that hangs, and you can see Nelly all over it. Not too many of those type tonight. Not going to get a whole lot easier. Brandon McCarthy will be out there tomorrow night. He came over to the Yankees from Arizona. He's 7-4 for the Yanks with a 2.56 ERA.
Pineda's delivery to him, and that one is going to be fouled away as well.
But the Yankees, I mean, Larry Rothschild has done a terrific job. Doesn't really matter. I mean, they lost 4 starters early in the year. Sooner or later, he'll piecemeal a pitching staff together, but he's got to be elated to see the kind of stuff. That's 94 here in the 7th inning.
And that one will skip off the plate. Pitch down low at 88. 2-ball, 2-strike count. McCarthy coming into tomorrow night's game, 2-1 mark lifetime against the Orioles with a 3.77 ERA against the O's. Tomorrow night's Yankee starter.
I'm not sure if Pineda's gone to 3-2 tonight yet.
I don't think so.
That's how good his command has been.
2-ball, 2-strike count. Infield shifted around. Two delivery, and in the air, foul territory, and no play. So the count stays 2 balls and 2 strikes on Nelson Cruz. Cruz against the Yankees this year, a couple of home runs, just a .259 average. Nelson, actually, this ballpark, well, he's hit 6 home runs here. His average is only 183 at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I would imagine some of those home runs are to right center.
Oh.
I mean, you can hit him down the line. I mean, you can hit him anywhere if you're Nelson Cruz with that kind of power. But
Power Alley in the new ballpark has been right out there into right center.
Yeah, it goes right here. And what happens is that right where you see that W.B. Mason, the fence seems, I used to go out a little bit, not much, but the angle across is, and then they, after that first year, they said it seems to be a little bit of a wind tunnel. Maybe not as demonstrative as the one down in Texas, where the ball shoots out to right center.
Somebody took one of those golf measuring devices out.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
Not what it seems.
And not 385.
But then again, what is?
What is? Wow. Deep.
Yes.
Very, very deep.
Well, he's got a one-hitter going. Well, that is when Joe Kerrigan, when he was a pitching coach in Philadelphia, the Orioles went up there. He walked me out to left center and told me it's not what it is. It's a lot shorter. And it didn't need to be. That's a very intimate ballpark.
2-2 delivery on the way, and Pineda wins the battle. We still not had a 3-2 count. 8 strikeouts, retires the side in order again. That's 8 in a row set down.
Time here at the Yankee Stadium starts off pretty well. Gardner on the strikeout. There goes Chris Young down on strikes. Cervelli. And then a nice little curveball to Stephen Drew, but in between does give up 4 runs, 2 of them earned. A lot of fastballs. Breaking balls about the same, and the difference, of course, you can see less changeups tonight. Didn't really pitch poorly. They usually support him with a lot of runs. That's not the case tonight. And your Jiffy Lube pitching change. The Orioles can check this pitching change off their to-do list. Isn't it time for you to check oil change off yours? Come into Jiffy Lube and help keep your vehicle running longer. Kevin Meek, second straight game. Curveball changeup, and that fastball is a lot of cuts. Anywhere from 89 to 94 miles per hour. And if you're with us yesterday, this is now what, the 21st game. Actually, be game number 22, but 3 of those games gave up 12 runs. And the ERA goes up. Even lefties not where you want. To bring that number down a little bit. Righties pretty good. So healthy for the first time. Former All-Star with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then shoulder problems, and made the club out of spring training, then up and down between AAA Norfolk and the O's.
This will be his 3rd outing against the Yankees this year. He's worked 2 1/3 innings previously, given up no runs, only 1 hit, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts against the Yankees. Fans, 7th inning stretch time here at the stadium in New York. He will be facing Ichiro, Perella, and Gardner, due up here in the bottom half of the 7th inning.
Yeah, it's actually a great audition for him. I mean, obviously, if you're a performer, pitcher, or whatever, you want to come to New York, Broadway, if you're yodeling. So a lot of advanced scouts here. You never know when somebody may say, you remember the way Meek pitched in the Yankee Stadium when they needed to win their games? So opportunity to keep the scoreboard where it is if he can.
Ichiro reached on an error in the 3rd inning, led off a 2 unearned run 3rd inning. Triple by Perella. Jeter with an RBI ground out. Jeter with 2 RBIs and a double in the 5th inning. That's how the Yankees have scored. Ichiro against Meek to lead it off here in the 7th inning. And he will take the pitch, and it's there for a strike. The Yankees with a 80-75 record. They've played 3 games below 500 against the American League East this year. Ichiro backs off, and the pitch is away, 1-1.
Yeah, obviously, as we mentioned, there's Joe Girardi on the left, Tony Pena his right, and didn't score a lot of runs, but if they pitch like Pineda's pitching and they get their pitching back in order, that's a great place to start. And then hope some of your guys either get healthy or.
Slapper down towards first. Meek's going to have to help. Tried to glove the play, couldn't do it. It'll be a base hit for Ichiro.
Well, Ichiro Suzuki came out of Japan the year before he got to Seattle in 2001. He hit .387 and then proceeded for the next 10 years to win 10 Gold Gloves and then get 200 or more hits. Every time you pick up the box score, you're going, how many did he get? Is he going to get to 200? And he did it for 10 straight years. 262 hits in 1 year.
See, Meek thought he could just flip it with the glove, and he never got the glove and the ball together.
Yeah, that's. Boy, how many, if you go back over the course of, I'm closing in on 2,835 hits. How many infield hits he's gotten over that course with his speed.
So here's Perella's major league debut has been a good one. Triple, single, RBI, and a run scored. Takes the pitch up high for a ball. Late chance, signed only last Tuesday. He was a non-roster invitee to spring training. 25 years old. He's played a total of 8 years in the minors without ever having a major league experience before tonight. 1-0 count. Ichiro takes off. Here's the throw by Joseph, off the mark. Knocked down. Ichiro's got a stolen base. Play by Jonathan Scope to keep that ball from going into center.
Yeah, huge jump. It really didn't matter what Caleb Joseph did. You can see straight steal. Throw tails, not a good throw. And if Scope doesn't dive for it, knock it down, he probably would have gone to third. As big as this outfield is.
14 for 17 for the 40-year-old stealing bases this year. So Perella gets another RBI chance. 1 ball, 1 strike count.
And he's probably not on the roster if Martin Prado doesn't have the appendectomy.
1-1 delivery on the way. Our Lexus of Towson drive of the game. Perella.
Yeah, first time up. And he bobs it. Going to turn into being a triple as it almost went over the wall for a ground roll double. And there you go. 99 miles per hour. Bat speed. Home run in almost any other ballpark in baseball.
First hit of his major league career. Brought to you by Lexus of Towson. Our drive of the game. Step up to a Lexus during their September sales event. Go to LexusofTowson.com.
And then it even gets better. It's a curveball into right field. So it's 2 for 2.
Trying for his second RBI right here.
He didn't even nibble at the cut fastballs off the corner.
3-1 delivery to him. That'll be foul back. Really one of those situations where we had it. The Yankees had an opportunity to bring up a player who deserved to come. Part of it because he's done so well for the organization in the minor league levels and never had a chance here before. And the other, look, with the kind of year he had, maybe he can help. So here he is, and he has already.
Well, he reminds me a little of Rusney Castillo, who the Red Sox just gave $72.5 million to.
Perella doesn't make that, do you think?
No, not yet.
Not yet. 3-2 count. Ichiro off second base. Ball put up in the air to left field. De Aza over. Ichiro will stay at second. Perella is retired. 1 down. As promised earlier in the game, our AT&T's fan photo.
Happy
that's
young
all I can
double.
say.
Yeah. Might have been the night the Orioles clinched the division. You never know. Might have not. Very joyful.
Very.
It's a good year to be an Oriole fan and be joyful.
More joy to come, hopefully, for the Orioles. Here is Brett Gardner. Gardner, a walk run scored in the 5th. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game. 1 down now with Ichiro on at second base. Gardner will take the pitch on the inside corner for a strike. Yankees trying to add to their 4-0 lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Ichiro not being held close. He's got a good secondary lead there. The outfield is in a few steps on Gardner. Even though he's got some pop, he likes to plunk the ball in front of the outfielders. They try and cut that chance down. Ooh-ah!
Yep. There's the cutter. Just in case you're leaning over the plate, you can see where the target is, trying to throw it off the inside corner, and then maybe overthrows it. Turned the right. What? Got the head out of it. Still a little chin music, though.
Now all you got to do is stand back in.
Yeah. 1
ball, 1 strike count.
So you stand at home plate. And you don't know how quickly the ball gets up there. Really about 0.4 of a second. You got to figure out what it is, decide whether it's a breaking ball, is it going away, in, whatever, and then also maybe it might come towards your head. A lot of decision making in a very brief amount of time. There's another slider.
Gets a good strike in on that one. So Gardner falls behind on the count here, 1-2.
Yeah, I was talking to Evan Meek before the game yesterday, and he said when he came back and he said maybe a little tentative throwing the cutter. So he said as long as he throws it hard, and that one was a 91, and when he babies it, doesn't have a lot of movement, that's when he gets hit. And the result's been because other guys have pitched so well up and down all year.
Pitches have been up, as you saw in this at bat to Gardner. Now Meek steps off. 1 ball, 2 strike the count. Ichiro extending his lead at second base. And Gardner on a wicked cut. It bounces. Play will be made on the strikeout, and there are 2 down.
Yeah, nice little changeup. So everything hard, and then you get the 2 strikes and takes a little bit off.
Meek gets his first strikeout.
Yeah, good pitch. A little splitter changeup. Foot down. Everything is good except the ball moves. Unable to get to it.
Jeter will stand in. Runner on at second base. 3 RBI ball game already for him. He's got a 6-game hit streak that he extended with the double picked up in the 5th inning that drove in 2. He had an RBI ground ball out earlier. Derek Jeter, another RBI opportunity. Fans have been on their feet for each of his at bats in the game. 2 down, 1 on. There goes Ichiro. Throw down to third is a good one, but not in time. Big jump again. So 2 stolen bases on this trip around for Ichiro. And he's to third with 2 out.
Yeah, better make it. And he does. Ball out, so Caleb Joseph has to reach all the way to his right, and then if you're going to second base, it's really not that tough a throw. But the other thing is you don't want to throw it away.
15 out of 18 now.
Yeah.
Stolen bases for Suzuki. 2 down, 1-0 count. Meek's delivery. Jeter down the line and right. That will be foul.
Well, the amazing thing to me is that at age 39, he got about 63 at bats because of the ankle problems last year. Broke it in the playoffs. 2 years ago at age 38, nobody in the American League got more hits. Derek Jeter got 216 hits. Well, she's done that, what, 8 times? Over 200 hits.
In a season that had started with people wondering if he could still play.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Ichiro off third base. Meek, the delivery to Jeter. Jeter on a swing and a miss over the top. Jeter against the Orioles playing in his 288th game against the Orioles. 288. Nick Markakis of the Orioles has played more games against the Yankees than any other Oriole. 158th for Nick against the Yankees. They are the 2 seniors as far as playing against one another in a Yankee Oriole uniform for the active players. 1-2 delivery on the way. Jeter will take it outside.
And Baltimore, it just seemed like when your bat slows down a little bit, you're jumping a little bit. Ryan Mattis getting loose for the Orioles, and so maybe you're a little more susceptible to breaking balls. Saw it with just about everybody when you get a little bit older, but obviously feels more comfortable. So he's taking the pitches that are right off the plate because the bat's a lot quicker. Amazing what a week can do.
2-2 delivery on the way to him. Jeter will swing and foul it off. Waiting on deck is McCann, left-handed hitter. Mattis up in the bullpen, the lefty for the Orioles. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. 7th. 4-0 lead for the Yankees. 4-7-0. 2 of their runs unearned. Orioles 0-1-1. Meek trying to get Jeter to end the inning. Suzuki off third base. 2-2 and a check.
That's the kind of pitch I'm talking about. Of course, he's seen 3 curveballs in this at bat. And he's going out there to cover the outside corner, and maybe a little bit of benefit of the doubt there.
Saw the paper flying by home plate. The wind has picked up as the night's gone on, and it's blowing in from left and out towards that right field jet stream.
Yeah, we saw Nick Markakis' uniform.
Those flags hardly moving. The flags on top of the stadium just ripping. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Jeter will foul it away.
Yeah, Hanger. That speeds up the bat. Had a really good cut. Well, in his heyday, and when we go back to 2 years ago when he had more hits than anybody in the American League, and of course there Derek Jeter flags. He had 15 home runs, and he, about as well as any right-handed hitter here over the course of his career, could hit the ball to right center with the best of them. You think you make a pretty good pitch, and he just takes it the other way.
3-2 again. Jeter the other way, foul again. So really working Meek here in this at bat, and now that Meek's thrown everything, Joseph's going to go out and say, "What do you think?
You got a knuckleball? Maybe it's time for the little knuckle." Well, I mean, really, he's hit the curveball. The only pitch he hasn't thrown him is the one that he struck out Gardner, and that's a kind of splitter change. But the other part of this equation is Evan's smart enough. He's been around long enough. If he doesn't get Jeter out, he's out of the game.
That's right.
So that's kind of like a Libra. You want to balance things.
I was just thinking, looking at Jeter in the patch, I wonder if any active player, has ever been played a Major League Baseball game with his own number patch on his shoulder. What do you think? I doubt it. Here's the 3-2 delivery on the way. Jeter is on. 9-pitch at bat. First walk surrendered by Meek. 1st and 3rd, 2 down, and that will be it for Meek, as Buck Showalter will come out, bring Brian Mattis on to get the matchup against the left-hander McCann. Yankees lead it by a score of 4-0. We're in the 7th, 2 on and 2 down.
to you by M&T Bank. When Baltimore succeeds, we all succeed. Brian Matusz, 61st game for the Orioles. That's number 3 as far as appearances. 55% fastballs, curveballs, and sliders in that breaking ball mix, and then the changeup. Uses that primarily to the righties. ERA at a little bit over 3.5 runs a game. You can see the innings of 61 appearances, 49 2/3. That's what you get from a left-handed specialist. That number 230 with a couple of home runs, 283 for the righties with the 5 home runs. And then, as you mentioned, McCann, well, he hits lefties well.
Hits Brian pretty well.
Had 298 lifetime, or at least not lifetime, but this year for Brian McCann with 7 of his 22 home runs.
Works against the Blue Jays Wednesday, an inning and a third. Gave up 1 run. McCann's gone 2 for 5 with a home run off Brian Matusz. Ichiro at third, who led it off with a single. Walked to Jeter. On at first, 2 down here in the 7th inning. Ichiro meandering off third with the infield shifted around. Flaherty's a long way off. Ichiro realizing that started coming down the line. If anything, just to bother or gain the attention of Brian Matusz,
which I don't think he even sees him.
1-0 count, 2 down, and that ball towering pop up into the seats. There'll be no play on that one.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I mean, just imagine that you're Christian Walker. And started the year at AA, and now you get to talk to Derek Jeter when he comes to visit you down at first.
Maybe you can do a selfie.
See, he's talking to him.
1 ball, 1 strike count on McCann.
I'd listen to whatever he says. I'd be like a sponge absorbing.
Here's the 1-1 delivery on the way in the air to left field. De Aza. Brian Matusz comes on and gets his job done. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. 2 are left on base. 8th inning coming up here in New York, where the Yankees are shutting out the Orioles. By Miller Lite, what the Yankee fans wanted in that 5th inning. 2 on, Derek Jeter up, 2 down, gets a hollow one, pulls it down into the left field corner. Scoring would be Perella and Gardner. 3 RBI night as a result of that double by Derek Jeter with his own number 2, and a 4-0 lead for the Yankees.
Yeah, doubled the 2 runs, that the unearned runs early on, so that's what you kind of like. Certainly not boring for Yankee fans.
Yankees are opening the gates for this final 4-game series early. 4 o'clock for the 7 o'clock game, so fans can come in and actually see Jeter and BP. It's one of kind of the sad things about baseball, the way it's done now. The home team takes batting practice first, and the gates are never open while the home team's taking BP, and that's kind of sad. Fans don't get to see their teams in batting practice, and I was a kid, I really used to love that about going to the ballpark. But for Jeter, they're opening him up, and fans were here today, a lot of them, in order to see him take batting practice. We go to the 8th inning. Orioles trying to find a way against Pineda. Hardy's had the only hit, the base hit, that came in the 5th inning. 1 for 2 in the game. Pineda's just torn through this lineup. That's the only base runner the Orioles have had in the game. So 1 over the minimum through 7 for the Yankee 25-year-old right-hander. Hardy stands in again, and the pitch taken down low for a ball. Kansas City still 2-0 over Cleveland. 8th inning of their ball game in Cleveland. That pitch is there for a strike. First Yankee action. Sean Kelly, the righty. Dylan Betances, the righty. 1 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way down the line and foul.
It also appears the White Sox are what, 2-0 over Detroit.
Yep, in the 9th.
Yeah, White Sox are playing
pretty
well.
Good baseball.
Yeah, they really are.
Yep.
I mean, congratulations to Robin Ventura. He's been able to. It looked like the ship was going in the wrong direction. Right it.
Ball to second. Line drive, snow coned by Drew. That's the second Oriole he's robbed of a base hit.
Yeah, really. He's a shortstop, and last year one of the reasons because he was so steady for the Red Sox. This year they turned down the $14.1 million. Thought he could. And there's your snow cone, and the ball almost came out of the glove. But thought he could get a multi-year deal. The team didn't want to give up a #1 draft choice, so a late sign with the Red Sox. And offensively, he's never been able to get it together.
Pitch will be taken outside by Christian Walker, who has grounded out and struck out in the ball game. 35,614 the announced attendance tonight. 35,614. 1-0 delivery to Walker. Pineda's off-speed delivery is going to miss inside. If Kansas City can beat Cleveland and Chicago beats Detroit, that lead in the Central will be cut to a game and a half.
Yeah, one in the loss. I mean, it's obviously both teams are going to play the same amount of games. As you look at Joe Saunders, the left-handers, and Ryan Webb, who pitched yesterday, the right-hander.
3-0 count. And that pitch is taken for a strike.
Yet to walk anybody. This is the first 3-ball count of the game. We're in the 8th.
3-1 delivery on the way, and there is the first walk. So Walker is on, 1 down here in the 8th inning. Flaherty and Joseph due up for the Orioles. Girardi beginning to check matchups with his bullpen, and he's checked enough apparently. He's on his way up. Fans already applauding for the Yankee starter. Michael Pineda, an excellent job on the mound. Will leave with a chance to win his 4th and his first ever against the Orioles. produced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Yankees going to the bullpen, even though the Orioles only have picked up 1 hit. Pineda's out.
Yeah, he was magnificent. Threw a lot of strikes, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. You can see right there. Just outstanding. Not till they walked somebody did he get to a 3-ball count. So he'll leave with a chance to win for the 4th time. 4-0 lead. It's up to the bullpen. Sean Kelly. The Orioles know him. Fastball. Loves the slider. That's the breaking ball. Maybe takes a little bit off it every once in a while. So this will be the 58th game. So when he's good, he's really good, and when he's not, he can struggle a little bit. So you can see the home runs all by the right-handed batters.
30-year-old delivers, and it will be fouled off. The Orioles with a man on at first and 1 down. Flaherty has struck out and grounded out. Ryan has faced Kelly only once and 1 for 1. Stranded runners, rather. Only 6 have crossed the plate of the 35. 0-1 delivery. Flaherty will take the fastball inside. Orioles need a couple of runners here. Steve Clevenger has come out in the on-deck circle with pinch hit for Joseph. Yankee bullpen will stay active. Kelly will miss inside with that, and Flaherty trying to get on here. 2-ball 1-strike count. Kelly now is going to the dugout. Looks like
another one of their many. When you look at Robertson and then Betances, strikeout guys, over 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, and Orioles would love to get another base on balls. Hits are tough to come by with only 1 hit tonight, and that's what kind of turned around some of the games in Baltimore. Yep.
Check swing, 1 around. Home plate umpire will make the call, Brian O'Nora. So that'll even the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Flaherty. Flaherty an even 200 against the Yankees coming into the ball game here in this ballpark. He's picked up one of the 2 home runs he has against the Yankees. Came here at Yankee Stadium. 2-2, runner off first base, Christian Walker. Flaherty down to first and foul. Big hopper. Right back with you tomorrow night. Game 2 of the set. As Ubaldo Jimenez and Brandon McCarthy the starters. 6:30 O's extra. 7 o'clock for the ball game. Finishing up on the road for the regular season and tough games for the Orioles. Again fouled off outside of first base, reaching for that one. 2-2.
Now Toronto's been eliminated and the Yankees haven't.
Yep. So the Yankees playing for something and Toronto playing just to make you feel bad. Teams don't mind doing if they're in that situation. Flaherty on the swing and a miss.
And nice little fastball at 92. And again, because he can throw his breaking ball, Ryan got into a hitter's count at 2-1. He threw him a slider. So from then on, you're just saying, I don't know what's happening. Good fastball hitter, but maybe looking a little in between because of his ability to pitch backwards.
The Clevenger will be the pinch hitter. And just going to go out. Talk about the matchup here.
Yeah, tell him who Steve Clevenger is, what you want to do with it. Well, no doubt that Steve Clevenger, he doesn't hit for power, but hit very well in the minor leagues. Got a hit here yesterday, pinch hitting.
Toronto's got a 14-3 lead in the 8th inning over Seattle. Toronto's elimination number from the wild card is 2. So technically still a wild card team, but they're not going to do it. Clevenger up, and the pitch will be taken for a strike. Now keep in mind, in the bottom of the 9th inning in Detroit, the White Sox have a 2-0 lead over the Tigers. If the White Sox win that game, no matter what happens here, the Orioles are guaranteed home field for the division series. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Steve Clevenger with a runner at first, had to wait on that. Force at second. Drew will get there ahead of the base runner Walker. That'll do it. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one left on. Bottom of the 8th coming at Yankee Stadium. Caballo Jimenez will take the mound against Brandon McCarthy in Game 2 of this 4-game set. Our coverage on MASN 6:30 O's Extra presented by Dodge, followed by game coverage at 7. All the access you need right here on MASN.
So Ubaldo, he actually got another start, and that was the night the Orioles clinched. And as we mentioned, Brandon McCarthy, really good. 7-4 for the Yankees. 3-10 for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So he comes over here. He's really pitched well. Good matchup. Ubaldo making some mechanical changes that he feels a little bit more confident ability to throw strikes. We'll see if that is the case tomorrow. Now Clevenger will, after pinch hitting, Steve will end up going behind the plate. Ryan Webb, second straight day. A couple of hits and a base on balls yesterday against the Red Sox.
Yankees with the 4-0 lead. Bat here in the bottom half. Young, Headley, and Cervelli will be due up for the Yankees, trying to win their 5th game against the Orioles this year, against the 11 wins the Orioles have had. Young has struck out, walked, and grounded out. 2 unearned runs, 3rd inning. Perella getting the triple, and Jeter the ground ball RBI. And then the 2 RBI double, 3rd inning, picked up by Jeter. On the line right now, Wei-Yin Chen, the starter, 4 runs, 2 earned on 6 hits over 6 innings. And Pineda, who left the ball game, no runs, 1 hit, with 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. Chris Young waiting on it in the air, left field. De Aza will back up shy of the warning track. 1 away here in the 8th inning.
Yeah, Ryan Webb, everything up a little bit yesterday. So right there, you could see that ball at the knee. Young had a good swing, but couldn't quite get to it. There was much leverage on the ball down.
Headley's had a single, hit into a double play, and he has flied out.
Well, you mentioned A-Rod, and they do owe him a lot of money for what, 2 more years? So where is he going to play next year? You know, and will Headley be back?
Ball in the air to center field, hit hard by Headley. Jones back, and goodbye, home run. Headley delivers the long ball off Webb, and the Yankees get 1 more. That's home run number 5. 15 RBIs in the 53 games with the Yankees. His 8th.
Well,
7th in the National.
That might make up their mind right there.
Yeah.
A little two-seamer stays in the middle of the plate and had never gotten a hit Yeah, both of them come over from the National League. Webb with Miami, Headley with San Diego. So now 1 for 4. And this is the same guy that week before last got hit in the chin.
Yep.
Amazing that he can come back, and the fear factor is not. Ooh, backup slider.
Cervelli gets turned around.
Yeah.
5 runs on 8 hits for the Yankees, 5-0.
Yeah, just a little spinner, and everybody reacts here. Hit a home run, and then there you go. Almost took it off the left arm. Of course, he does get hit a lot, and he's a very aggressive hitter, but that was just a backup slider.
Cervelli's picked up a single. He is 1 for 3 in the ball game. 1-0 delivery on the way to him. That'll be on the inside corner for a strike. So a game dominated so far by the Yankees, both pitching and hitting, as the team that has struggled to get 3.5 runs a ball game has picked up 5 runs on 8 hits in this one. 1 down. Cervelli with Drew waiting on deck. Cervelli will take another one inside. It's on the corner. He didn't think so, but it was 1-2.
Not catching tonight.
Nope.
Otherwise he wouldn't be saying much. Just Saunders talking to Dom Cheedy, Oriole bullpen coach. Yeah, a couple of backup sliders for strikes.
Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, and he got it. Called strike. Tag will be put on, and there are 2 down.
Well, that was finally a strike. I think two of the last 3 pitches. And this is just a fastball, pretty much knee high, right in the middle of the plate,
and we'll get another pitching change. So you're seeing Buck Showalter doing what he'd already talked about was going to have to be done the final week of the season. That's make sure that all of his pitchers were getting work, because they're going to have some days off going into that first division series. Left-hander Webb 2/3 of an inning, a run on a hit on the home run picked up by Headley, and he had 1 strikeout.
Yeah, so Joe Saunders, veteran lefty, started the year with Seattle as a starting pitcher. The Orioles signed him down to Norfolk, where he pitched pretty well. And last game against the Red Sox didn't go well. A couple of walks, 3 hits, and then a home run by Xander Bogart. Lefties, the numbers certainly inflated this year. 363 batting average, so he comes in to face Stephen Drew.
So the White Sox have beaten Detroit. It's over 2-0. The Orioles are guaranteed home field for the division series, regardless of the outcome of this game. Saunders' delivery will be foul bagged by Drew, who's played a really solid ball game. Base hit, has struck out, grounded out, made 2 outstanding plays in the field at second base. 0-1 count.
Yeah, not a lot of balls hit hard off Pineda, but when they were, the defense was there to snare him. And also a nice play on an infield roller.
That'll be bounced, skipped off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And it looks over in the National League. What, the Pirates ahead 1-0 in the 9th over Atlanta. There's Rich Hill, the lefty, and then St. Louis beating the Cubbies 7-0.
Cardinals already guaranteed a playoff spot, and in all likelihood they'll win the division. Did he go? Yes. That wasn't a foul ball. That actually bounced off the plate, but he'd gone around on it. Third base umpire Adam Hamari making the call. So a bouncing strike, 1-2.
And for people, if you go back to 2012, man on the mound was the guy that pitched the one-game playoff game, the wild card game down in Texas.
1-2 delivery on the way, and that'll miss, all low.
Steven Drew, get out of here.
Count stays 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the 2-2 delivery on the way, and a swing and a miss. So Saunders comes on and gets the strikeout. Yankees are retired. Home run by Headley, though, adds another. And will the Orioles be shut out? We go to the 9th. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. And by Coons, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons. Gary Thorne, Jim Palmer here at Yankee Stadium as the Orioles bat in the 9th inning. The Orioles have been shut out 10 times this season. The Yankees have 9 shutouts. To their staff's credit, it is a 5-0 lead for the Yankees going to the 9th. Jonathan Scope has grounded out and struck out. There have been 3 shutouts in this series this year. The Orioles had an 8-0 win against the Yankees back on June 22nd and a 5-0 win against them on the 12th of this month. The Yankees have shut out the Orioles. That was back on July 12 at Camden Yards. The Yankees had a 3-0 shutout win in that game. So Buck Showalter's ball clubs had 1 hit, a single by Hardy, and thank goodness for the sake of all fans, it was a clean hit, no question about it going through between short and third.
Yeah, if it wasn't, it'd be Stephen Drew would be your co-most valuable player of the game. Yeah. A couple of outstanding plays.
Robertson's in the bullpen just in case.
Yep.
Jonathan Scope, the 1-2 delivery on the way, and that one is going to be bounced. Oh, the count will go to 2-2. Great performance by Pineda with the no-run, 1-hit, 7 1/3 inning act. He gave up nothing, a walk, 8 strikeouts. 2-2 delivery on the way, and that'll be outside, full count.
Yeah, I can't tell you, having gone through shoulder problems where you think your career is over, and tore my rotator cuff, he tore his labrum, and you come back and pitch. I mean, it's joyous just the fact you're out there. And then the big plus is how well he pitched. Kind of looked like him before the shoulder problems when he was with the Mariners.
3-2 delivery on the way and a swing and a miss. One down.
It took him 6 pitches to get to the low and away slider after throwing the fastball by him, but this is why he's a strikeout guy. 11 over 9 innings, right on the outside corner, low and away to a young hitter.
So we will add another pitching change. When they come to talking about trying to reduce time in games, how do you reduce the time it takes to get guys out of the bullpen pitching? Because it eats up a lot of game time. Buck and Angela Showalter invite you to run or walk in the 5th annual Kids Peace Trick or Trot 5K. Saturday, November 1, it'll be at Oriole Park. Dress up in your favorite Halloween costume. Enjoy a fun course ending on the field. Prizes, top runners, age group winners. Proceeds benefit Kids Peace, Foster Care, and community programs of Maryland and Washington, D.C. To register, go to kidspeace.org/5K run.
So Rich Hill comes on. Started the season AAA Pawtucket for the Red Sox. Pitched well there. Then went to the Angels for a couple of outings, and then on to the Yankees. So 14 games on the year. Number 15. It's kind of a matchup situation. Nick Markakis was 3 for 5 off of, and then Rich Hill, a couple of at-bats, 1 hit.
0 for 3 in the ball game for Markakis. 1 down, nobody on here in the 9th inning, and the pitch taken down low for a ball. Markakis to be followed by De Aza. Orioles trying to at least push a run or two across, if not more, in order to take that goose egg off the board. Left-hander's delivery. Markakis watches that one go by inside, and the count will go 2-0. Nick this season has upped his average compared to last year against the lefties, hitting .279 on the year, 10 points higher than against right-handed pitchers this season. No shift put on. Outfield moves in center and left. Inside corner strike, 2-1.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that maybe, even though he got hit by the pitch to get the rest, that after really going into late August, hitting almost 300 at .297, and then just September's been a tough month for him. So wanted to play. Contract's not up, but the Orioles have an option on him, so wanted to play and show him that he could play at a certain level, which he has. But the month of September hasn't been kind, so maybe the rest will help.
Toronto walloping Seattle 14-4 in their ball game tonight. Seattle desperately trying to scratch their nails on the chalkboard and find a way to get to October. Like Oakland. 3 ball, 1 strike count. Delivery on the way by Hill, and he walked it. Well, that pitching change certainly worked out well. So there's the second walk the Orioles have drawn in the ball game.
It's almost, I think, just Joe Girardi had some options. He could have brought in David Hupp if he really wanted to match up. Rich Hill, newly acquired. What can he do against lefties? Well, we just found out.
Another good reason to follow Buck Showalter's suggestion in the September month. Make teams pick 25 for each series, and the other expansion players can wait till the next series. Then you don't have 9,000 lefties to throw in.
Well, that and the fact that the game changes in the month of September. It changed it for the Red Sox in 2011 when Buck had 5 lefties in the bullpen.
Here's De Aza, runner on at first. He'll foul that one back. Alejandro has had an 0 for 3. Hill with a 0-1 pitch.
Yeah, the Red Sox go 7 and 20 now. So we got Phelps, who's coming off shoulder problems, and then you got David Robertson, their closer, just in case. So Buck just kind of went through that whole Red Sox lineup, and then Terry Francona, as good a manager is, he till the game 3 up in Boston, he never separated his lefties, so it really matched up well for Buck, and he took advantage of it. Guys that he didn't have in August and the rest of the year, he had sitting out in his bullpen.
1 ball, 1 strike count, 1 away. 5-0 lead for the Yankees here in the 9th inning. Orioles have stranded 2 base runners in the game. Both have been at first. Orioles have not had a runner to second base in the game. Hardy, the base hit in the 5th inning. Walk picked up. Christian Walker in the 8th. Strike in the inside corner. Now the walk here in the 9th inning to Nick Markakis. 1 and 2.
Well, we saw Rich Hill when he pitched in the National League. He was a starting pitcher right over the top and kind of reinvented himself. Some shoulder problems, so now he's kind of a Siam Armin lefty.
1-2 delivery on the way over the top, swung out and missed. He gets the strikeout, and there are 2 down. 11 strikeouts by Oriole pitchers, and we should have a pitching change here, and we certainly will get one as the fans rain the booze down.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So 5-0, 2 down, 9th inning, and with Jones coming up, Phelps will come on to pitch.
Some shoulder problem, actually elbow problems that sidelined him for about 5 weeks. Fastball, he really can pitch inside. A little bit of a curveball changeup. Last time pitched in Tampa, got 5 Yankees were hit, so he hit one of the Rays, and after the warning was ejected. So there you go, righties 300. I guess it's a matchup situation, even though lefties hitting him much lower. And the good news for the Orioles, they'll probably see Dave Robertson if Adam Jones can get on.
Great. Just great. All right, 2 down, and the Orioles have a runner at first base. Adam Jones coming up. Jones has gone 4 for 10 against Phelps, as the Orioles try and get one on the board here. And get it started with 2 down in the 9th inning. Phelps against the Orioles, couple of appearances, 2 runs and a hit in just 1 inning worked. Jones goes after the first pitch, and that'll go to shallow right field. Ichiro's there, and the ball game's over. So no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. The Orioles do not get a runner to second base in the ball game. A combined 1-hit shutout for Pineda, Kelly, Hill, and Phelps. And in 3 hours, the final, the Yankees 5 and the Orioles nothing. Yankees with 8 hits to the Orioles 1.